Chapter 564. In Guangda Lane, near the western market of Chang'an, a group of 100 cavalry officers smashed open the gate of the Luo residence and charged in. Before Luo Hui's family, stewards, and servants knew what was going on, they were all taken away by the 100 cavalry officers, imprisoned, and interrogated. Luo Hui's wealth, which he had worked so hard to accumulate, was confiscated and his residence sealed. But Luo Hui's whereabouts were unknown, and he had never been captured. All the provinces and counties of the Tang dynasty had posted notices for Luo Hui's arrest, but he seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth. Li Wangyu wondered if Hou Junji had killed Luo Hui to silence him. Li Wangyu felt no sympathy for Luo Hui's plight, nor did he care whether Hou Junji's account books had been found in Luo Hui's residence. That was not important. And even if they did, so what? Given Pai Lupi's trust in Hou Junji would only receive a reprimand and a fine of copper for embezzling some dung money. Li Wangyu and Pai Lupi had reported on Hou Junji mainly so that the Pai Lupi would think that Hou Junji was greedy, and thus lay the groundwork for the future. Now that Hou Junji and Luo Hui were no longer obstructing them, the farmers of Hu County could enter Chang'an to harvest dung. Every day, a steady stream of jinkala would be transported to the provinces and counties around Chang'an in exchange for coppers. By the time all this was done, it was already the 10th month of autumn, the most important day of the year in the Tang dynasty. But this year, the plague of locusts had caused the farmers of the Guangzhou circuit to miss out on the joy of harvests. On the contrary, all the families were sighing in despair. The wheat fields that had once yielded 1 dan per mu were now only able to harvest 4 or 5 bushels. In fact, many fields had only harvested 2 or 3 bushels this year. With such a small harvest, not to mention paying the rent, it was not even enough for the family's rations for the coming year. Ma Zhou submitted a memorial to the Pai Lupi requesting that the land rent for this year's Guangzhou circuit be reduced. Pai Lupi nodded his head in agreement. He issued an edict to the Guangzhou Pass prefectures and counties to waive the land rent, and issued a general amnesty to the people. The autumn harvest had nothing to do with the people of Hu County. With Yang Quan's full cooperation, the 100,000 people of Hu County all switched to winter rice. Originally, the commoners were uneasy and felt that this matter was not reliable. After farming for his entire life, this was the first time he sowed rice seedlings in September. Many farmers were sobbing as they sowed the seeds. They felt that the seedlings would not survive at all. However, to everyone's surprise, the rice seedlings that were sown in the fields all survived. Now the rice sprouts in the fields were green, giving the people of Hu County a glimmer of hope. Of the hundreds of villages in Hu County, the only one that hadn't switched to planting rice and was now entering the autumn harvest season was Dingzhou village. The ducks that Li Wangyu had fed back then had made great contributions on the battlefield. In the surrounding villages, the wheat fields in Dingzhou village were basically preserved. At most, the wheat fields in Dingzhou village were reduced by 20 to 20%. Therefore, when the government of Hu County ordered people to burn the wheat fields and switch to rice, they only bypassed Dingzhou village's fields. Since ancient times, China had placed great importance on agriculture. Even though the farmers of Dingzhou village no longer relied on the crops in the fields to make a living, when the autumn harvest came, everyone still went to the fields to harvest the year's worth of hard work. Even in the future, those well-dressed white-collar workers who were born in the countryside and worked in office buildings in various cities would still ask for leave during the autumn harvest and run back to their hometown to help harvest the wheat and rice. This was already a deep-rooted belief in the hearts of the Chinese. Li Wangyu was naturally aware of this as well. Now that he had many people in his residence, he naturally had to help the village. Early in the morning of the autumn harvest, Li Wangyu led Niu Wu and Niu Yong, as well as a group of servants to the fields in the village to help harvest the wheat. Even his beautiful superior led the old steward, Perrin, Aphrodite, and a group of maidservants to help. Some delivered water, while others followed to pick up the wheat. It was very lively. Li Wangyu symbolically harvested a few clumps of wheat before he was so tired that he was sweating profusely. He felt like he couldn't even straighten his back. The old village chief hurriedly advised him to rest at the side. His beautiful superior waved at him from under the shade of a tree. Hee, didn't someone boast to me that he was a village boy? Why can't you do it after just a few times? Your body is really weak. Li Wangyu was so angry that he almost wanted to drag her back to his residence to prove his ability after being teased by his beautiful superior for being weak. However, this was clearly just a thought. Li Wangyu rolled his eyes at her. Nonsense. When I was young, My family harvested by hand, but it wasn't my turn to work at that time. By the time I grew up, the village was already harvesting mechanically. Every year during the autumn harvest, there would be an army of harvesters that would come to work with harvesters. They would only harvest 100 pieces of wheat per moo. Who would be so full as to put in the effort to harvest? Humph, sophistry. In the end you are too weak. With your small body, I don't know where you got the courage to kill 3 Japanese in a row. The beautiful superior changed the topic and brought up this matter again, making Li Wangyu very embarrassed. He could only touch his nose and not say anything. That day in the prison, he drew his sword and killed 3 Japanese. Naturally, the beautiful superior knew about it immediately. Because of this, the beautiful superior was so scared that she couldn't sleep well for several nights. She had nightmares and had to comfort Perrin, who was also scared. After seeing Li Wangyu again, the beautiful superior couldn't care less about being reserved. She directly threw herself into his arms and cried for a long time. This let Li Wangyu experience the feeling of holding a soft jade in his arms. However, after the beautiful superior vented her emotions, she showed her female power and pulled Li Wangyu's ear for a long time. Only when Li Wangyu repeatedly promised that he wouldn't be so impulsive in the future did she let him go. Therefore, when the beautiful superior brought up this matter again, Li Wangyu could only keep quiet to avoid provoking her again. With nearly 100 people from Li Wangyu's residence helping to harvest, in addition to the threshing machine that Li Wangyu made, the harvest in the village was very fast. Buckets of wheat were put into sacks and pulled by carriages back to the granaries of the various residences in the village. These 2 days, the village was very lively. Everyone's face was full of smiles. The autumn harvest always made people happy. However, the old villager found Li Wangyu again. Lang Jun, now that the autumn harvest is over, when do you think is appropriate to send this year's land rent to the residents? The old man's words made Li Wangyu stunned for a moment before he reacted. Currently, Dingzhou village was under the jurisdiction of him, the county head. Now, the villagers didn't have to pay rent to the government. Instead, they handed it to him, the master. Li Wangyu hurriedly waved his hand at the old man. What's there to pay? Keep it for yourself. Do you think I'm lacking in your trifles? Keep it for yourself. In the future, the village won't collect land tax. His words naturally scared the old villager. He waved his hand again and again. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's against the rules. Lang Jun, how can you not collect land tax? The old housekeeper Li Heng was also happy. He pushed the old villager. You're a farmer. What are you talking about? This old man now worries about how to stack the copper coins in the residence every day. How can I have the time to care about the food and cloth that you pay? Do you want to tire this old man to death? If Lang Jun says he won't accept it, then he won't accept it. Don't talk about it anymore. Li Heng and the old villager were also joking. After moving to Dingzhou village for more than half a year, the 2 old men's relationship was quite close. They often met to drink wine and chat. Now that the residents didn't lack anything, and his Lang Jun had been promoted to county head, Li Heng was full of energy every day. His originally white hair had become a lot darker, and he looked a lot younger. The old villager naturally didn't get angry at his words. He could only sigh in his heart that Dingzhou village's ancestors were blessing them to meet a master like Li Wangyu. It was a blessing that they had cultivated for several generations. After repeatedly thanking Li Wangyu on behalf of the villagers, the old villager looked at Li Heng and suddenly grinned. Housekeeper Li, how old are you this year? Li Heng was stunned. He didn't understand why the old villager asked this question. This old man is 48 years old. His words, however, gave Li Wangyu a shock. Damn, Li Heng is only 48 years old? He always thought that this old man, oh no, it should be uncle, was over 60 years old. Chapter 565. The Tang people were different from the later generations. Due to the good medical conditions and adequate nutrition, 48-year-old people were considered middle-aged at most. The World Health Organization of the later generations even classified people under 44 as youths, and 45 to 59 as middle-aged people. Li Heng was 48 years old, which meant that he had just entered middle age. Li Wangyu also remembered that historians had studied the average lifespan of the ancient people. During the Sui and Tang dynasties, the average lifespan was only 40 years old. Li Heng was 48 years old, which was not considered young in the eyes of the Tang people. As for the long-lived elders like Yu Shernan and Sun Simiao, they were already considered to be Ran Rue and could not be lumped together. Perhaps it was because of a lifetime of hard work, but in Li Wangyou's eyes, the 48-year-old Li Heng was as old as a 60-year-old man in the future. He had never asked about Li Heng's age, and the original owner of his body did not seem to know either. He only knew that when Li Heng was born, he was already an elder in the family and had served Li Zhou for many years. However, like Li Heng, he did not understand why the old village chief asked about Li Heng's age. The old village chief laughed. "Housekeeper Li, you haven't married yet, right? You should have seen the wife of the Zhao family in the village, right? She is 33 years old now, and she is also very beautiful. In the early years, her husband was also a government soldier, but he was unlucky and did not come back. This wife of the Zhao family raised her daughter and has been a widow ever since. Hee. Now this wife of the Zhao family has taken a fancy to you, old man. I just don't know if you are a good man or—" The old village chief did not finish his words, but Li Wangyu and Li Heng immediately understood what he meant. Was he trying to be a matchmaker? As for whether Li Heng was a good man or a slave, this was naturally a prerequisite for the wife of the Zhao family to be willing to remarry. If Li Heng was a slave, then this wife of the Zhao family, no matter how much she secretly admired Li Heng, would not choose to marry him. After all, if she married a slave, she and her descendants would all become slaves. Without waiting for Li Heng to speak, Li Wangyu immediately nodded repeatedly. Good status, of course it's good status. Li Heng is only my residence's housekeeper, not a servant. Old village chief. Is that Madame Zhao the mother of that Madame Zhao who once sold me a pig? Exactly. That little Miss Zhao is a diligent and dutiful girl. Madame Zhao also looks decent. Li Heng. Haha. Isn't this too convenient for you? Now I have a wife and a daughter. Li Heng's face turned red when he heard their words. No, Lang Jun, I can't do that. Why not? Are you looking down on that Zhao family's wife, or do you dislike other people's daughters? Li Wangyu glared at him. Li Heng quickly waved his hand. No, I don't mind. Old slave means. What slave? I've already given you your discharge papers. Don't talk nonsense. Go to the county yamen today and find Registrar Liu to go through the procedures. If you can't do it, don't return home. Previously, when they were still at the old residence in Hu County, Yang Quan wanted to collect his debt, but Li Wangyu released all of the servants in the residence. This angered Yang Quan so much that he almost died. At that time, the discharge papers he wrote to Li Heng were torn to shreds by this stubborn old man. At that time, Li Wangyu couldn't do anything about it. However, ever since he was conferred a title and paid off his debt, he wrote another discharge papers for Li Heng. However, Li Heng didn't want to remove his status, so he kept delaying going to the county yamen to go through the procedures. Li Wangyu then looked at the old village chief. Village chief, I'll agree to this on behalf of Li Heng. I'll have to trouble you to ask Zhao family's wife. If there's no problem, I'll have a matchmaker go to her house and give her 3 betrothal gifts so that Li Heng can marry her. The old village chief grinned and said, a widow's family doesn't need any betrothal gifts. A banquet is enough. Zhao family's wife is naturally willing. It's her fortune to be able to marry Steward Li. Leave this matter to the old me. I guarantee it'll be done properly. Li Heng's face turned even redder when he saw his Lang Jun and the old village chief talking about his wife in just a few words. That won't do. This old man is already so old. How can I delay Zhao family's wife? Li Wangyu didn't bother to pay attention to him. He went to discuss with the old village chief how to give the betrothal gifts and how to pick up the bride. After the discussion, Li Wangyu was full of joy. When he was about to call everyone back to the mansion, he felt that the troops behind him seemed to be looking at him. He turned his head and saw a few resentful eyes looking at him. What did this mean? Li Wangyu was frightened by the eyes of his troops. It took a long time for him to react. Damn, when these old bachelors heard that Li Heng was going to marry a wife, they all wanted to marry a wife, right? Damn. He seemed to have promised them that he would introduce a palace maid to them to be their wives. He had long forgotten this matter. Well, a man can't live without integrity. As a master, he couldn't deceive the troops. Li Wangyu didn't go back to the mansion. Seeing that it was still early, he led the troops to Chang'an City. In the legislative hall, Pai Lupi was reading the memorials and dealing with official business. When he heard that Li Wangyu wanted to see him, he was very surprised. Zio, how come you have time to come to the palace to see me today? What's the matter? Li Wangyu touched his nose and smiled. Nothing. I just miss Uncle, so I came to the palace to see you. Pai Lupi looked up and glanced at him with a faint smile. Is there really nothing? If there's nothing, then you can go back. I have to deal with official business and have no time to chat with you. Li Wangyu was speechless. F***CK, can't you be more polite? He racked his brains and thought about how to ask Pai Lupi for the 73 palace maids. If he directly asked, he was afraid that Pai Lupi would beat him up. That day, in order to recruit the troops, he boasted that he would match them with palace maids as their wives. But this matter was simple and difficult at the same time. Although there were thousands of palace maids in the Taiji Palace, not everyone could spy on them. Usually, Pai Lupi would only reward those who had done meritorious service with a few beautiful palace maids. There were many palace maids in the Taiji Palace who were willing to marry out of the palace. Not to mention the 73rd place, even the 730th place could be easily gathered. But the key point was, how could Pai Lupi give so many palace maids to Li Wangyu for no reason? Not to mention that they were betrothed to his troops. If this matter was spread out, where would Pai Lupi put his face? So Li Wangyu naturally couldn't just directly ask Pai Lupi for palace maids. He had to use a roundabout way to save the country. He rolled his eyes a few times and came up with a plan in his mind. Uncle, I came to the palace today because I have something to report to you. Speak. Uncle, in 2 months, it will be your birthday. I want to give you a special birthday gift, so I came to the palace today to borrow some people from you. Pai Lupi's birthday was on the 5th day of the 12th month, which was the 22nd day of the 12th month of the lunar calendar. There were only 2 months left until now. Li Wangyu's words aroused Pai Lupi's interest. He put down the memorial in his hand and said with a smile, Ziyu is thoughtful. What do you want to give me? What kind of people do you want to borrow? Uncle, wouldn't it be meaningless to talk about the birthday gift? Please allow this nephew to keep it a secret and give Uncle a surprise on Uncle's birthday, okay? I want to borrow 300 palace maids to prepare the birthday gift. Pai Lupi didn't think much of Li Wangyu's words. He only raised his head and laughed loudly. Good. Then I will wait for Ziyu's gift. What palace maids do you need? You can tell me Tua and choose them yourself. Thank you, Uncle. Li Wangyu hurriedly bowed, but his heart was blooming with joy. Chapter 566. After Li Wangyu thanked Pai Lupi, he asked, Uncle, if these palace maids are disobedient, do I have the right to punish them? Pai Lupi didn't take it seriously and waved his hand at him. I'll leave them to you. Naturally, you can punish them however you want. Anyone who refuses to obey will be beaten to death. Li Wangyu had been waiting for him to say this. After thanking Pai Lupi again, he hurriedly pulled me Tua out of the Hall of Government and prepared to select palace maids. May I ask, County Uncle Hu, what kind of palace maids do you need? I'll send someone to inform them in advance. Li Wangyu chuckled. Naturally, I need someone who can sing and dance and who is good at all kinds of musical instruments. As for their age, they can't be too young. It would be best if they are at least 20 years old. It would be best if they are palace maids who are willing to leave the palace to marry. His words stunned me to awe. He didn't understand what Li Wangyu meant. It was easy to understand that he needed someone who could sing and dance and know how to play musical instruments. However, he needed someone who was old and willing to leave the palace to marry. What was this for? What did this have to do with giving Pai Lupi a birthday gift? County Uncle Hu, how come I don't understand what you're saying? Don't ask. This is a secret. A secret, you know? I didn't even tell the saint when he asked. If I told him, there would be no surprise. Li Wangyu wasn't willing to tell me Tua the truth. Naturally, he vaguely sent him away. Me Tua had no choice but to follow Li Wangyu's instructions and take him to Taichung Temple. He picked out 300 palace maids who were good at singing and dancing and were willing to marry and handed them to Li Wangyu to take out of the palace. Seeing Li Wangyu enter Taiji Palace and come out with hundreds of beautiful women following behind him, Niu Wu and his troops, who were waiting for Li Wangyu outside the palace gate, widened their eyes. Li Wangyu kicked Niu Wu angrily. It's fine if they look, but you have a wife. What are you looking at? Be careful. I'll talk to your grandmother when we get back. Lang Jun, don't, hee hee. I'm just taking a look for my brothers, hee hee. Niu Wu hurriedly smiled and begged for mercy. Li Wangyu angrily glared at him. Quickly go to the East Market and ask the villagers to bring the carriages here. Otherwise, we won't be able to return to Dingzhou village today. Lang Jun, are you letting the young ladies sit in that four-wheeled carriage? Those are carts for transporting goods. Niu Wu mumbled. Nonsense, if we don't take those four-wheeled carriages, are you going to carry them back? There are 300 palace maids here. Where am I going to find so many horses? Why don't you ask the farmers to prepare some benches and other things and put them in the carriage? That's right, someone should go back first and inform Lady Su and Li Hang to make preparations. These 300 palace maids will be staying in the residence for 2 to 3 months. Niu Wu naturally could only follow Li Wangyou's instructions. He arranged for a troop to go back to Dingzhou village to report, and then hurried to the Shun Feng Carriage Company in the East Market. While waiting for the carriage to arrive, Li Wangyu suddenly thought, should I make four-wheeled carriages for customers? Previously, he had asked Carpenter Lu to make many luxurious versions of the four-wheeled carriages, and gave them to the dukes, including Empress Zhang's son, and received the appreciation and gratitude of everyone. Now in Chang'an City, there were more and more people who commissioned craftsmen to make these four-wheeled carriages. However, the customers were all nobles and rich businessmen. In Chang'an City, ordinary people still relied on the number 11 bus to travel and relied on walking. After all, there were only a few people who could afford to raise mules and horses. In such a big city like Chang'an, even if one went out of the city to buy something in the East Market and West Market, it would take half a day to walk. Li Wangyu thought that the reason why the East Market and West Market opened at noon was that the customers left early in the morning. By the time they reached the East Market and West Market, it would be noon. The public transportation system seemed to be a money-making business. Now that there were more and more carriages in the Shun Feng Carriage Company, there were not enough for the villagers of Dingzhou village. The beautiful boss had also recruited coachmen several times. The coachmen who came to apply came in an endless stream. After all, the income of the coachmen of the carriage company was very enviable. The business of the carriage company was getting bigger and bigger. The range of transportation was as far as Yinzhou. The beautiful boss was going to continue to expand the range of transportation. The farther the transportation distance, the more money they could make, but the less time the villagers of Dingzhou village could go home. Li Wangyu recently felt that he often did not see young and strong people in the village. This was not what he wanted to see. Therefore, he had been thinking about how to help the villagers find a job that could make money and did not have to travel far. Today, he had to transport 300 palace maids back to the village, which gave him an idea. This bus was also a profitable business. Thinking of this, Li Wangyu told the troops and turned back to the Taiji Palace. In the legislative hall, Pai Lupi was surprised to see Li Wangyu return. Zio, is there anything else?
Uncle, I just thought of something and came to report it to you.
What is it? Uncle, the population of Chang'an City is close to 1 million. However, there are only a few people who can raise mules and horses. In Noda's Chang'an City, it is inconvenient for the people to travel. It is very distressing. Pai Lupi heard this and was slightly stunned. Then he slowly nodded. Zio, you are right. I have heard that many people are complaining about this. However, I have no choice. Chang'an City is so big. I can't send a horse and a mule to each of them.
Li Wangyu rubbed his hands and laughed.
Uncle, I have a way to solve the problem of the people of Chang'an City. Are you interested? Pai Lupi asked curiously. What is it? Tell me quickly. Public carriage. What is a public carriage? Pai Lupi did not understand. He understood the word public. The records of the Grand Historian explained it as, the law belongs to the emperor and the world is public. Which means publicly owned, public. But how did the carriages become public? Uncle, I plan to build a batch of carriages with built-in benches for people to sit in. They will follow a fixed route in Chang'an City. When the people need it, they can raise their hands and call for a stop. When they reach their destination, they can get off at any time. The fare is also very cheap. I think 2 coins per person will be enough. In this way, the problem of the people of Chang'an City being difficult to travel can be solved. Pai Lupi carefully thought about Li Wangyou's words. He nodded and then shook his head. Zio, your idea is very good. With this public carriage, the problem of the people of Chang'an City being difficult to travel can be solved. However, I don't think it is too little to only charge 2 coins for the public carriage. Isn't it too little? I am afraid it is not enough for the coachman's monthly salary and the horse's fodder. With only your subsidy, I am worried that the public carriage will not be able to operate for long. It is better to charge more. Pai Lupi's words made Li Wangyu roll his eyes. In the future, the public carriage was only $2. If he charged 2 coins, it would be equivalent to $8 in the future. Pai Lupi actually thought it was too little. He despised him. He could only patiently explain. Uncle, 2 coins may seem little, but sand accumulates into a tower. A 4-wheeled carriage can carry 10 people without any problem. In Noda's Chang'an City, investing in 200 public carriages is not much at all. In other words, these carriages only need to make 1 trip for 4 strings of copper coins. However, the passengers can get on and off at any time. Regardless of distance, it is 2 coins. In addition, the carriages will be on the road from the opening of the gate to the beating of the drum. I estimate that with 200 public carriages, the daily income will not be less than 100 strings of copper coins. It is enough to cover expenses. Pai Lupi was slightly surprised. He did not expect to earn so much. That's right. In that case, Zio, quickly build these public carriages. I am looking forward to it. Li Wangyu smiled and said, Uncle, I want to ask you for an imperial edict. What imperial edict? Hee. Exclusive rights in Chang'an City. Chapter 567. Li Wangyu had asked Pai Lupi for exclusive rights because he was afraid that others would see the benefits and also build carriages to compete with him. This public carriage was the private land that he had prepared for the villagers of Dingzhou village. Naturally, he would not let others have a share of the profits. Not only the public carriages in Chang'an City, but also between Hu County and Chang'an City, he planned to open public carriages for the people to travel. Pai Lupi naturally saw through his thoughts. He could not help but shake his head and smile bitterly. Zio, you are really thinking about the future of your villagers. Hee, uncle, no matter what, the villagers of Dingzhou village are business partners with Ant. We should take care of them. Li Wangyu smiled slyly. He was not wrong. The royal family owned 50% of the shares of Shun Phone Carriage Company. Li Wangyu owned 30%, and the remaining 20% belonged to Chang, An's Chou family and Dingzhou village. A small shareholder was still a shareholder. All right, this public carriage is your idea, so I will do as you wish. Only your family is allowed in Chang'an City, but I also have a condition. Uncle, please say it. Since you said that 2 coins is enough, then after the public carriage is put into use, the price cannot be raised. How about it? Are you willing to agree? Li Wangyu nodded repeatedly. Of course I can guarantee it. Pai Lupi nodded with satisfaction and agreed to Li Wangyu's request. Although he had never seen a public carriage before, he could imagine the many benefits it would bring to the city. It would be convenient for the people to travel, and the people in the city would come and go more frequently. The vitality of Chang'an City would also naturally increase. Pai Lupi thought about Li Wangyu's suggestion of a public carriage and secretly praised him. He felt that his nephew was indeed a genius. No one in the world could compare to his quick thinking. Chang'an City was not easy to live in and it had been difficult for the people to travel for a long time. However, none of the civil and military officials in the court could think of such an inconceivable method like his 16-year-old nephew. Pai Lupi picked up a brush and wrote the words, public carriage on the paper. He looked around and was very satisfied. Zio, I will give you this calligraphy. Don't let me down. Li Wangyu quickly took Pai Lupi's calligraphy with both hands. Uncle, don't worry, within 10 days, this public carriage will appear in Chang'an City. I can guarantee it. In fact, public carriages were not the ideas of Li Wangyu. Public carriages appeared in Paris as early as the 19th century. The appearance of public horse carriages also promoted the development of the city, shortening the distance between the city and the neighboring villages, and increasing the frequency of travel. After bidding farewell to Li Er and leaving the Taiji Palace, Niu Wu returned with several dozen carriages. With the help of Wuha's palace, Wuha, 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 Wuha Wuha Wuha, Wuha Wuha, and Wuha Wuha, Lai Hot's palace guards were even more attentive. They rode their horses around the carriages and chatted cheerfully with the Wuha maids. It was very lively. Li Wangyu shook his head. This group of old bachelors was really too unreserved. After the carriages returned to Dingzhou village, the beautiful superior asked Li Hang and the palace maids to settle down the 300 Wuhe maids. She pulled Li Wangyu to the side. Wangyu, why did you bring so many Wuhe maids back? The beautiful superior's face was slightly ugly. Li Wangyu hurriedly explained the matter. In the end, he sighed and said, it's really too difficult for me to be the master. I have to worry so much about the marriage of the palace guards. Of these 300 Wuhe maids, I'll see who is willing to marry those old bachelors and let them stay. I plan to let the others rehearse a program. In 2 months, on Li Shimen's birthday, I'll send them to celebrate his birthday. After figuring out Li Wangyu's plan and knowing that she had misunderstood him, the beautiful superior stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. She thought that Li Wangyu felt that there weren't enough women in the palace and asked Pai Lupi to expand his harem. When Li Wangyu saw the change in her expression, he knew that the beautiful superior had misunderstood. He couldn't help but feign anger and said, F***CK. Chongqing, you don't think that I plan to bring these 300 Wuhe maids back to enjoy myself, do you? You're too evil. Bah, I don't think that way. Don't talk nonsense. The beautiful superior's face reddened. She quickly changed the topic. Wangyu, your idea is pretty good. But these Wuhe maids aren't people that you can privately keep, right? Aren't you afraid that Li Shimen will settle accounts with you? I've already thought about it. I've asked him before. If these Wuhe maids are disobedient, will they be at my disposal? When the time comes, I'll say that those Wuhe maids didn't listen to this count's words and were punished by me. I'll punish them by marrying them to the troops in my palace and forbidding them from returning to the palace in the future. Wahahaha, Li Shimen can't go back on his words, right? Letting me deal with them is his golden mouth and jade words. The beautiful superior speechlessly rolled her eyes. You can think of it. You see, Li Shimen will definitely settle accounts with you. Who cares about him? Anyway, when the time comes, they will be married. Can he still take them back? Li Wangyu said indifferently. Then what program are you going to let these Wuhe maids rehearse? I haven't thought about it yet. Song and dance? Choir? You help me think about it again. Anyway, it's as lively as possible. I'm afraid that I can't suppress Li Shimen and his group of country bumpkins. The beautiful superior was speechless. This guy really doesn't treat the emperor as a cadre. By the way, Chongqing, I thought of another idea today. Li Wangyu talked about the public carriage again, but the beautiful superior nodded repeatedly. This is a good idea. Chang'an City is too big. Without horses, it's really difficult to move around. I think the public carriage will work. Are you going to let the villagers of Dingzhou village drive the public carriage? Well, I think so. Now they often have to run long-distance transportation. Once they go out, they can't go home for a few days. It's very hard. It's far better to drive the public carriage in Chang'an City. It's close to Dingzhou village and can go back and forth every day. Li Wangyu said. The beautiful superior nodded. I think this is a good idea. In a while, let someone invite the old village chief and the others to discuss this matter. Since you promised Li Shimen to start operating within 10 days, then hurry up. Li Wangyu naturally had no objection. He immediately asked someone to invite the old village chief and the others. Not long after, the old village chief, Carpenter Lu, and several respected old people in the village came to his mansion. Lang Jun, you summoned old me and the others. Is there anything you need? Li Wangyu smiled and showed the calligraphy written by Pai Lupi to everyone. Village chief, elders, this is the calligraphy written by the sage. Today, I've invited all of you here because I want to change the livelihood of the villagers to operate the public horse carriages. His words made the old village chief and the others look at each other. Public horse carriages were something that no one had heard of before. From Li Wangyu's words, it seemed that he didn't intend to let the young men in the village work as drivers for the four-wheeled carriage. This caused everyone to feel a little hesitant. The villagers drove the carriages. Although it was hard, the income was quite good. They could earn 200 coins a day and 6 rounds of cash a month, which was the same as the monthly salary of the second-class leaders in the imperial court. If they were to run the public carriage business, would they still be able to make such a profit? But since this matter was proposed by Li Wangyu, the old village chief and the others naturally had no reason to refuse. The old village chief gritted his teeth and nodded in agreement. We'll do as you say. Dingzhou village won't dare to talk nonsense. Lang Jun, don't worry. If anyone has the slightest complaint, Old Me will personally beat that bastard to death. Yes, the village chief is right. Whoever has complaints will be driven out of the village. We don't want such an ungrateful person in Dingzhou village. A group of old people in the village echoed. Li Wangyu was stunned at first. Then he laughed loudly. Chapter 568. Li Wangyu's laughter made the old villager and the others confused. They didn't understand what was so funny about what they said. Their beautiful boss also covered her mouth and chuckled. Old men, you don't think that operating this public carriage is not profitable, do you? The old villager and Carpenter Lu looked at each other and felt that they might have misunderstood. The old villager hurriedly cupped his hands to Li Wangyu and said, Old Me and the others are slow-witted. Please enlighten us. They really didn't know what Li Wangyu meant by public carriage. Li Wangyu reached out and handed over a drawing. It was a simple sketch that he had just drawn. The drawing was still a four-wheeled carriage. The difference was that the carriage was very tall, enough for a person to stand in. There were 2 benches on both sides and some wooden poles in the middle of the carriage. Carpenter Lu looked at it for a long time and didn't understand. This carriage was obviously not used to transport goods. However, it was completely different from the luxury carriages that Li Wangyu had asked him to build. Not only was it very simple, but he also didn't understand what the wooden poles in the middle were for. Lang Jun, what is this public carriage for? Old Me is slow-witted. I don't understand, the old villager asked. Li Wangyu smiled and said, It's for transporting people. The seats on both sides are for passengers to sit and rest. The wooden pole in the middle is for people to stand in the carriage and hold on to it to avoid falling. Carpenter Lu finally understood after Li Wangyu's explanation, but he still asked doubtfully, Lang Jun, this public carriage is used to transport people? What is it used for? Li Wangyu smiled and explained the concept of the public carriage to the old villager and the others. They finally understood and couldn't help but applaud. Good, this idea is really good. Old Me has been to Chong and city several times. It is really too big. It takes a few hours to walk from the city to the East City. Longjuan's idea is really good. This public carriage will definitely be popular. Yes, that's right. Lang Jun is indeed a literary star that descended from the heavens. You can even think of such a method. TSK. TSK. This public carriage is really something. The old villager was a little confused. Lang Jun, isn't it too cheap to only charge 2 copper coins each time? Li Wangyu was speechless. Why was this old man the same as Pai Lupi? They all felt that 2 copper coins was too little. He could only calculate the expected income of the public carriage for the old villager and the others. Only then did these old men become happy. As long as this public carriage could make money, they believed that Li Wangyu would definitely not mistreat the farmers. In the end, Li Wangyu said, The public carriage in Chang'an City. I intend to cooperate with the village in this business. What do you think of it? Lang Jun, you are flattering us. How can we refuse? Old Me and the other 127 villagers thank you for your kindness, Lang Jun. The old villager hurriedly bowed to express his gratitude. He naturally knew that Li Wangyu was giving money to their village again. That's good. In that case, the cost of building the carriage and buying the horses will be paid by me. As for the income, let's split it 50-50. My mansion and the village will each take half. As for how much the villagers who drive the carriage will take, I'll leave it to you to discuss. Li Wangyu's words shocked the old villager. He hurriedly stood up and waved his hands to refuse. Lang Jun, we can't do that. We can't do that. The village can take 10%. How can we share it 50-50 with you? It doesn't make sense. Yes, Lang Jun, it's too much. We can't do that. Lang Jun, how can we just sit back and reap the benefits when you pay all the capital? We can't do that. Li Wangyu rubbed his temples. This group of old men was too stubborn. Well, the village will also pay half of the capital, and then we'll split it 50-50. That's it. If you say one more word, I won't do this business. Dingzhou village was not short of money now. Back then, the Chiu family took out a large amount of copper coins to buy 10% of the shares from the old villager. In addition to the share from the carriage company for half a year, the village's public account was full of money. When the old villagers saw that Li Wangyu was so determined, they could only thank Li Wangyu again and again and settle this matter. Carpenter Lu patted his chest and said, "Old me will immediately go back and start building the carriage. I guarantee that it won't delay Longjuan's business." Nowadays, Li Wangyu asked Carpenter Lu to build more and more things. Even the surrounding villages came to look for Carpenter Lu to build their own water carts, carriages, and other things. Carpenter Lu also had a keen eye. He simply recruited many apprentices from the village and the surrounding villages and set up the first carpentry workshop in Dingzhou village. His 3 sons all became masters in the workshop. They led a group of apprentices to build all kinds of things. The business was doing quite well. Among the villagers of Dingzhou village, there were close to 200 coachmen in the Shun Feng Carriage Company. Within 10 days, Carpenter Lu's workshop naturally could not build so many public carriages. However, Li Wangyu was not in a hurry. He pushed all 200 public carriages to Chang'an City. After 10 days, there would be about 50 public carriages on the road to meet the initial demand. After the matter of opening public carriages in Chang'an City was confirmed, the villagers of Dingzhou village were naturally all smiles. Driving a public carriage in Chang'an City was much better than running on the road in the rain and wind every day. Moreover, they did not have to travel far. They could drive the carriage back to Dingzhou village after getting off work every day. Why not? Li Wangyu also went to Chang'an City a few times in the past few days. He found Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng. The 3 of them followed the map of Chang'an City and planned a preliminary route for public carriage operation. Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng were completely convinced by Li Wangyu's ability to create trouble. These things happened one after another. The storm of building toilets in Chang'an City had just passed a few days ago. This county earl who created a public carriage. However, Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng, the 2 county magistrates of Chang'an City, had to admit that Li Wangyu created good things. Not to mention the toilets. Since the 300 toilets were put into use, and with the supervision of the yamen runners and the marquis, the situation of people urinating everywhere was no longer there. There were no yellow and white things in the streets and alleys. Even the flies and mosquitoes had decreased a lot. This public carriage was even better. It only cost 2 coins to make it convenient for people to travel. Naturally, it was a good thing for the country and the people. However, the 2 of them did not understand why Li Wangyu had to define the route of public carriages with such strange names as First Road Public Carriage and Second Road Public Carriage. Li Wangyu was too lazy to explain. Of course, this was just his bad taste acting up. Li Wangyu was never tired of being able to bring about all kinds of shadows of later generations in the Tang dynasty. Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng did not delve into why these public carriages had to be called First Road Public Carriage. They just raised a question, which made Li Wangyu depressed. County Earl who, most of the people here are illiterate. Even if you write Second Road on the carriage, I'm afraid it won't work, right? Not to mention the carriage stop you mentioned. No one will be able to understand the words on it. Li Wangyu was speechless. Damn, I forgot about this. Nowadays, illiterates were everywhere in the Tang dynasty. Chapter 569. The earliest tram in China was put into use in Tianjin in 1900. At that time, the literacy rate of the people in Tianjin was not much better than that of the Tang dynasty. Therefore, they did not use numbers to distinguish the lines, but instead used colors. Red, yellow, blue, green, white, flower and purple. 7 tram lines ran through the main bustling roads in Tianjin. As for the term certain road that people in later generations were used to, it actually originated from England and was translated from English as route. In the face of Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng's questions, Li Wangyu could only shake his head and suggest using colors to distinguish the public carriage lines. This made Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng applaud. The people were illiterate, so colors were the most convenient way to distinguish. After the 3 of them discussed, they arranged 3 horizontal and 3 vertical routes in Noda's Chang'an City, and a circular route between West City and East City. There were a total of 7 public carriage lines, which corresponded to the 7 colors of red, yellow, blue, green, white, black, and purple. After the discussion, Cui Zhua and Lu Deheng were responsible for arranging the bailiffs to post notices in each lane, informing the people that the public carriage was about to be put into operation and the route map of the 7 routes. This immediately became the hottest topic in Chang'an City. Everyone talked about the public carriage when they met. Delang, have you heard? County Count who came up with something new again. I know. You're talking about the public carriage, right? Heh, this is something new. The county magistrate said that you can ride a horse carriage for 2 copper coins? Is there such a good thing? Won't County Count who suffer a loss? Who knows? Anyway, County Count who doesn't lack money. He can afford it. If this is true, I have to thank County Count who. This is good for us. Of course. My mother has always wanted to go to Xuandu Temple to burn incense. I'm an unfilial son. I can't borrow a carriage, and my mother's legs are inconvenient, so I haven't been able to go. If the public carriage is real, then it is the blessing of the Tao ancestor. I can bring me to the Xuandu Temple. Just wait. The bailiff said that the public carriage will be in operation in 5 days. I asked clearly, this blue plate carriage has to go from the Qixia Gate Street in front of our inner square to the Golden Light Gate Street. If we change to a red plate carriage, we can go directly to the East Market or the West Market. It is too convenient to buy things. In fact, compared to the original 100 copper coins price for an ox cart that could carry a load of 100 caddies and travel 50 kilometers in the Tang dynasty, the 2 copper coins public carriage fare was not cheap. However, the starting price for an ox cart was 50 copper coins. Regardless of whether the distance was less than 50 li, the price was still the same. In this way, 2 copper coins for a ride in a carriage was much cheaper. The average monthly income of the people in Chang and was consistent. 2 coins was not a low cost, but the enthusiasm and expectation of the public carriage did not diminish. Li Wangyu, on the other hand, was busy letting the villagers of Dingzhou village familiarize themselves with the route, giving them pre-job training, arranging for the purchase of horses, adjusting the public carriages. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye after a series of tasks were completed. Early in the morning drum of Chang'an City had just been beaten and the gate was opened. The old soldier guarding the gate saw many people pouring out of the gate and standing on the street outside the gate, looking around. Have they come? Have they come? Have you seen them? It can't be that early, right? The gate has just opened. Let's wait a little longer. Did the announcement say today? Yes, today is the day. The old soldier was puzzled. He went forward and asked, Everyone, what are you waiting for? Waiting for the public carriage. May I ask what a public carriage is? The old soldier did not understand and continued to ask. His words made the people around him laugh. This soldier, have you not been in Chang'an City these days? The old soldier nodded. A few days ago, I asked for leave to go back to my hometown to attend a funeral. I only returned to Chang'an City yesterday. No wonder you don't know about this. This public carriage is a new thing made by the county count. It is the carriage that carries passengers. It travels along 7 fixed routes in Chang'an City. Anyone who needs to take a carriage can wave for the carriage to stop. When they arrive at their destination, they can get off at any time. The fare is only 2 copper coins each time. The people in the square immediately explained enthusiastically. The old soldier was surprised. There's such a good thing? Does the county count have so much gold in his manor that he has nowhere to spend it? When I go off duty later, I'll give it a try. Haha, that's what everyone is thinking. Look, aren't we all waiting for the public carriage to arrive? Everyone raised their heads in anticipation. Suddenly someone shouted, It's here, it's here. The green carriage is the public carriage passing by our square. I see the sign on the carriage. Everyone looked in the direction he was pointing. It was a 4-wheeled carriage that was slowly approaching. The carriage was taller than a normal carriage. There was a green sign on top of it. On the sign, there were 4 large words written in white, Public Carriage. Naturally, this was Pai Lupi's handwriting. Li Wangyu had shamelessly printed the sign on the public carriage. Everyone hurriedly waved their arms, indicating that they wanted to get on the carriage. However, the carriage did not stop. As it slowly drove past the crowd, the driver helplessly said, I'm sorry, everyone. The carriage is full. Please wait for the next one. His words naturally caused an uproar among the crowd. Then, those who reacted quickly turned around and ran in the direction of the carriage. This public carriage could only seat about 10 people. Just in front of their square, there were no less than 100 people waiting to try it. How long would they have to wait? Moreover, there were other squares in front of their square. They might as well run a few steps and stop the carriage in front of them. The people who managed to stop the public carriage with great difficulty excitedly raised 2 copper coins and asked the driver, "Is this 2 copper coins? I'm going to Shi City." The farmer of Dingzhou village smiled and nodded. "Yes, 2 copper coins. Just throw it in this box." At the entrance of every public carriage, there was a large locked box. There was a hole in the top for inserting coins. This was the money box that Li Wangyu had created. It was directly in place. No one is selling tickets. The people curiously threw in 2 Kaiyuan Tongbao coins and boarded the carriage. Even if there were no more seats and they could only stand in the middle of the carriage, they still enjoyed it. Regardless of whether they knew each other or not, they excitedly chatted about the novelty of this public carriage. The public carriage became popular on the first day of operation in Chang'an City. Carpenter Liu, his 3 sons, and a group of apprentices worked overtime for 10 days. But they only managed to build 50 carriages. There were a total of 7 routes in Chang'an City. On average, each route could only allocate 7 to 8 carriages. Even if all the carriages were filled, they could only transport 500 to 600 people at a time. There were millions of people in Chang'an City. Even if 1% of the people needed to travel, it would still be 10,000 people. These 50 carriages were just a drop in the bucket. The 50 farmers of Dingzhou village had not rested from morning till night. It was only when the evening drum sounded and the carriages stopped operating that they realized that they had not even eaten for the entire day. Everyone was so hungry that their chests were sticking to their backs. However, they were unusually excited. After everyone drove the carriages back to Dingzhou village, they opened the money box and counted. Everyone was shocked. In almost every carriage's money box, there was no less than 1 copper coin. The final tally of the 50 or so carriages was about 60 strings of coins. Even Li Wangyu did not expect such a profit. It was more than double what he had expected. Chapter 570. His beautiful boss solved the problem for Li Wangyu when there were not enough public carriages. She transferred more than 100 freight carriages from SF Express and sent them to Carpenter Liu's workshop to reinstall the carriages on the chassis of the freight carriages. As a result, there were more and more public carriages running on the streets of Chang'an City in a few days. After the people who wanted to try the new things experienced the novelty of the public carriages, they did not rush to take the carriages. Gradually, the operation of the public carriages returned to normal. But even so, after a month, the 200 public carriages actually earned a total of more than 4,000 strings of copper coins. This frightened the old village chief and the others. According to the agreement between Li Wangyu and the village, half of the copper coins, more than 2,000 strings of copper coins, would belong to the village. In a year, the village would get more than 20,000 strings of copper coins. Even if the 127 families in Dingzhou village shared the income, each family would get more than 180 strings of copper coins, which was more than 10 strings of copper coins per month. The old villager suddenly felt that the money was too hot. If he counted the dividends from the Shunfeng Express Carriage Company, wouldn't every family in Dingzhou village be able to get about 300 strings of copper coins in a year? Were they still villagers? Even the merchants in Chang'an City who opened shops could not earn more than 300 strings of copper coins a year. The old villager looked at the account book in his hand with a headache. He simply turned his head and asked to see Li Wangyu. After hearing the old villager's worries, Li Wangyu could not help but laugh. "Villager, just keep the money. You should distribute it. Why are you hiding it? I want to make Dingzhou village the richest village in the Tang dynasty and make those people jealous." "Langjun, this money is too much," the old villager said with a bitter face. Li Hang could not help but say, "You old man, don't be long-winded. This money is not for you alone. It's for the 127 families in the village. Did I bite your hand when I had too much money? Or what? You talk too much. Hurry up and leave. Don't disturb Langjun. Langjun doesn't have time to care about such a small matter like you. I'm still busy thinking about the birthday celebration for the saint." After being scolded by Li Hang, the old villager naturally couldn't say anything more. He could only thank Li Wangyu again and leave. As for the villagers, they were all dumbstruck when they found out about the profits. Who would have thought that more than half a year ago, Dingzhou village, which was still like mud, was now not only living in brightly lit, tile-roofed houses, but also earning more than 20 strings of copper coins every month. This kind of thing was something that he didn't even dare to dream about back then. None of the villagers dared to disturb Li Wangyu. They simply ran silently to the front door of Li Wangyu's mansion and kowtowed to it. When Li Wangyu found out about this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but he could only follow the villagers. Just as Li Hang said, he was busy. The 300 palace maids that he had tricked from Pai Lupi were actually taken by the group of thirsty old bachelors in his mansion in just 10 days. When Li Wangyu saw his 73 troops, each leading a shy palace maid to kneel in front of him and beg for his help, he couldn't help but feel his temples throbbing a few times. This group of old hooligans, damn, they really acted too quickly. When he thought about how he still hadn't coaxed his beautiful boss to bed and carried out some healthy physical and mental exercise, Li Wangyu felt stifled. Why were these palace maids and young ladies so unreserved? How could he let these old hooligans get what they wanted so easily? Li Wangyu didn't think about it. These palace maids that he had brought out from the palace originally wanted to leave the palace to marry people. Now that they had finally left the tightly guarded Taiji Palace, how could they be willing to go back? If it weren't for the fact that Li Wangyu only had 73 troops in his mansion, and that the other servants and palace maids didn't take a fancy to them, perhaps none of the 300 people would be able to return. At that time, he really wouldn't be able to explain to Pai Lupi. He couldn't be thick-skinned and tell Pai Lupi that the 300 palace maids were disobedient and had been punished to marry people, right? It would be strange if Pai Lupi didn't explode. However, these palace maids were originally tricked out by him, intending to find a groom for these troops. Now that other people were interested in each other, he naturally couldn't do something that would spoil the mood. All right, all of you get up. I'll approve your marriage. As for the saint, I'll explain it to him. When the 73 of you sought refuge with me, I said that I would give each of you a house. This lord naturally can't go back on his words. Coincidentally, I built more than 100 houses in Dingzhou village, so I'll give them to your own family. Li Wangyu's words naturally made the troops overjoyed, and they kowtowed again and again. As for the 73 palace maids, their faces were filled with joy, and many of them were crying tears of joy. These days, they had already seen the various benefits of Dingzhou village. They were even more envious of the palace maids who could marry the old soldiers in the village. Many of the palace maids were familiar with the 3,000 palace maids that Pai Lupi had moved out of the palace, and naturally, they had been guests in their new homes. They yearned for those well-equipped houses. They had also looked forward to being able to leave the palace and live in such a house, but it was just a dream. They didn't expect that today, their dreams would come true. How could they not be excited? When Li Wangyu was building Dingzhou village, he had originally planned for 120 houses. However, later on, when he thought that he would recruit more troops, he had to prepare houses for them. Thus, he asked the Ministry of Works to expand the construction area and built more than 100 houses. He didn't expect that it would come in handy today. The two brothers, Niu Yong and Niu Wu, had already moved into the new house with their wives. They usually took turns to guard Li Wangyu's residence, and after their shift, they could go home and be intimate with their wives. These two were quite capable. Now that the two wives of the Niu family were pregnant, Niu Yong and Niu Wu were smiling from ear to ear all day long. A few days later, Dingzhou village became lively again. This time, 73 newlyweds were getting married. This scale surpassed the first marriage between the old soldiers and Niu Yong and Niu Wu. The wedding banquet was held in the village for 3 consecutive days. The main character was naturally the pig slaughtering feast that everyone ate 100 times. Now, it was naturally not Li Wangyu's turn to cook. Naturally, the kitchen maids in the residence would do it for him. If he, the county earl who founded the country, personally cooked, it was likely that everyone in the village would dare to eat. In fact, there were 74 newlyweds getting married. The marriage between Li Hang and Lady Zhao had also been settled. However, Lady Zhao refused to wear a green wedding dress with the palace maids and put on a gold foil flower ornament. In her words, she was a widow, and it was her second marriage. If she did this, people would laugh at her. Li Hang was even more thin-skinned. He was afraid that people would laugh at him for being old and shameless, so he was unwilling to organize the wedding. Li Wangyu couldn't persuade the two of them, so he could only give up. During the collective wedding, he toasted the two newlyweds a few more cups, and it was considered a banquet. However, that night, Lady Zhao moved into Li Heng's room, which made Li Wangyu laugh secretly. As for Lady Zhao's daughter, Lady Zhao, she was already married. Moreover, She was married to a man from Dingzhou village. Li Wangyu couldn't help but ridicule him for being a beast. Such a young girl actually got married to another man. After dealing with these trivial matters, Li Wangyu began to ponder about what kind of program he should let the remaining 227 palace maids rehearse so that they could open the eyes of these country bumpkins of the Tang dynasty during Pai Lupi's birthday. Chapter 571. Li Wangyu racked his brains for several days and finally figured out what to let the 227 palace maids perform. However, when he brought his idea to his beautiful superior to discuss it, he received a big roll of her eyes. "Wangyu, are you sure you want to perform this for Li Shimin? Can they accept it?" Li Wangyu felt strange and asked back, "Why not?" The beautiful superior speechlessly put her hand to her forehead. "Okay, since you say it's okay, then it's okay. Hee, Chongqing, you have to do this. I'll leave the rehearsal to you. I can't teach them, right? I can't either." The beautiful superior glared at him angrily. "You only know how to be lazy." "No, you've wronged me. Can't I prepare the ultimate weapon? When the time comes, I'll definitely shock these bumpkins." Li Wangyu certainly wouldn't admit that he was being lazy. "Humph, I'd be a fool to believe you." It wasn't strange that the beautiful superior would think this way. Li Wangyu was indeed quite lazy. Although he came up with ideas one after another, this guy was only responsible for starting the fire and didn't care about the aftermath. The many things he created and the subsequent troublesome matters were all thrown to others to handle. The Shun Feng Carriage Company and the lingerie shop were managed by his beautiful superior. The brewery was directly handed over to the palace eunuchs, and he was only responsible for the dividends. The coining workshop and weapon forging workshop were given to Yan Liben. The beverage vending machine in Chong and was given to Cho Kuan. The winter rice planting in Hu County was given to Yang Zhua, and many of the troublesome matters were given to Yang Zhua. The matters of the charity hall and toilet cleaning were given to the playboys. Even the public carriage was given to the old village chief and the others, and he was too lazy to interfere. The beautiful superior was too lazy to say anything more about his laziness. She wrinkled her delicate nose and made a face at him. Then, she went to find the palace maids. Li Wangyu looked at the beautiful figure of the beautiful superior as she left and laughed. He knew that the beautiful superior would definitely not be tired of this matter. Although the beautiful superior had always shown the image of a strong woman, she was actually very artistic in her bones. Otherwise, she wouldn't have learned belly dancing back then and could dance so well. Besides, if he didn't hand this matter over to his beautiful superior and went to rehearse the program for the 227 beautiful and charming palace maids, he was afraid that he would be hunted down by his beautiful superior. Besides, he was not idle. He planned to make a secret weapon during Pai Lupi's birthday to shock the country bumpkins of the Tang dynasty. This secret weapon was the fireworks. The earliest fireworks in China appeared in the Song dynasty. During the Xuanhe period of the northern Song dynasty, there were already large-scale fireworks. As for the explosive rods used in the Tang dynasty to seal saltpeter into bamboo tubes, they were still a bit far from fireworks. The word fireworks in the Tang poems did not refer to the fireworks of the later generations, but to the beautiful scenery or brothels. For example, Li Bai's poem, "My Old Friend Left the Yellow Crane Tower," fireworks went down to Yangzhou in March. The fireworks in the poem were referring to spring. Tang Shi said, "There are no fireworks on the plug. Ning Si Che's color." It was referring to the brothels. Fireworks were actually black gunpowder mixed with different metal powders. When the different metal powders burned and produced a chemical reaction, they would show different colors. Li Wangyu previously thought that the explosive rods were not lively enough. On a whim, he had already made black gunpowder. To make fireworks, as long as different metal powders were added to the black gunpowder, it would show different colors. However, the Tang dynasty did not have as many metal elements as the later generations. Li Wangyu could use them to make fireworks, so he could only make a few simple colors. For example, if iron powder was added, it would emit yellow fireworks. If copper powder was added, it would appear green. Even so, Li Wangyu felt that as long as he could make fireworks, it would be enough to shock Pai Lupi and the officials. However, how to make fireworks made Li Wangyu scratch his head. He only knew the general principle and had never really done it in the later generations. Fortunately, it was still early, so he was not in a hurry. He could slowly experiment. He led Niu Wu and Niu Yong to a secluded place in the mansion. After fiddling with it for a few days, Li Wangyu still could not make fireworks. This made Li Wangyu very depressed. Today, the fireworks experiment failed again. Li Wangyu simply gave up and ran to Dingzhou village to relax. He chatted and laughed with the villagers and ants along the way. He greeted them and chatted about daily life. He also taught the naughty children in the village a lesson. Li Wangyu's depressed mood improved again. He walked around the village with his hands behind his back. Unexpectedly, he saw his old butler Li Hang arguing with the old village chief. Li Wangyu was curious and secretly walked over. He wanted to hear what the two old men were arguing about. No, this is not negotiable. The manor's cowherd is lent to the village for farming. How can you use it to push the mill? Don't you have a dozen cows in your village? Why do you still want to use the manor's cows? Li Heng's loud voice did not wait for Li Wangyu to come closer. The old village chief laughed and said, "The cows in the village are all old. How can they do this kind of work? The cows will not break even if they are used. You old thing, why are you so stingy? Bah, you old fellow. The village has so many copper coins in the public account. Go to Chang'an City's mule market and buy some cows. Hee hee, Longjuan's manor has 20 cows. They are all raised in the village. Why waste copper coins to buy cows? Even if you have some money, you don't dare to be so extravagant." The old village chief continued to persuade, "Why don't we pay Lang Jun the rent of the cows? Humph, who cares about your copper coins? You are an old farmer. Haven't you heard of it? In the winter of October, farming cows are cold. Building palaces is cold. Now it is already October. How can we still let the cows work? This is the time to conserve energy." Li Wangyu sneaked behind the two and listened to the conversation between the two old men. He could not help but laugh out loud. His sudden voice startled Li Hang and the old village chief. When they saw that it was Li Wangyu, they hurriedly saluted. Li Wangyu smiled and waved his hand. "I say, you two, do you have nothing better to do? It's just a matter of a few cows. Is there a need to be like this?" The old village chief laughed and said, "Lang Jun, please don't laugh at us. Housekeeper Li is deliberately making things difficult for me. This old man is too petty. Didn't I win some money from him in mahjong yesterday? Is he deliberately going against me today?" Li Hang was exposed by the old village chief in front of Li Wangyu. He could not help but blush. "Nonsense. Am I such a stingy person? Humph. Yesterday I just had bad luck. What's there to be proud of? Not stingy. Just now, you said that old me could not use the cows to push the mill?" The old village chief did not spare Li Hang and continued to expose him. Li Hang was so angry that he almost rolled up his sleeves and fought with the old man. Li Wangyu also knew that the two old men were purely teasing him. He was too lazy to care about them. Just as he was about to continue walking, he took 2 steps and suddenly turned back. "Muramesa, are the rollers and mills in the village all pushed by big animals?" The old village chief did not understand, so he nodded and replied, "Yes, this is thanks to Longjuan's 20 cows. Otherwise, the village's 10 old cows would not be willing to let them push the rollers and mills. In the past, when it was busy, the villagers pushed by themselves." Li Wangyu could not help but laugh. "So that's how it is. Li Heng, we will not lend our cows to the village to push the mill." His words suddenly stunned the old village chief and Li Heng. Li Heng quickly said, "Lang Jun, the village does not have big animals. How can we push the mill?" Old slave was just teasing the village chief. Don't take it seriously. The old village chief did not know what to say. He could only rub his hands and look at Li Wangyu. He did not understand what he meant. Now the village was naturally not as poor as before. They could not afford to buy cows. The old village chief just did not understand why Li Wangyu suddenly said this. Li Wangyu laughed and said, "Li Hang Muramesa, I have a way to grind rice and flour without manpower. Do you believe me?" His words naturally made Li Hang and the old village chief look at each other. They did not know how to respond. Chapter 572. Li Hang and the old villager naturally didn't believe Li Wangyu's words. Millstone can grind rice and flour by itself? Wouldn't that be like becoming an immortal? The rollers used by farmers to grind rice were all made of heavy, large stones. They were composed of a roller and a millstone. They were specially used to remove the husks of rice and wheat. The stone mill was composed of 2 round stones.
The grain would enter the middle of the 2 layers through the hole at the top and move out along the grain.
When it rolled through the 2 layers, it would be ground into powder. These 2 tools were not light at all. Without 7 or 8 strong men, they couldn't be lifted. Without the use of manpower or animal power, Li Hang and the old villager couldn't imagine how to move them. If someone else had said this to them, the old villager would have spat on that person's face. Was he dreaming? Was he talking in his sleep? But these words were said by their own Lang Jun. The 2 didn't know how to respond, so they couldn't help but keep quiet with a bitter face. When Li Wangyu saw the 2 old men's wrinkled faces, he knew that they didn't believe what he said. He couldn't help but smile even more happily. What? You don't believe me? Well, why don't we make a bet? If I can't make the millstone that doesn't need manpower or animal power, I will personally cook a delicious meal and treat you 2 to wine. How about it? But if I can make it, hee. Li Hang and the old villager looked at each other and couldn't help but say, if you can make it, Lang Jun, what do you want? If you can make it, you old thing, obediently move out of the mansion and live in the courtyard. How about it? Do you want to bet? Li Wangyu gave the mansion to Niu Yong, Niu Wu, and a group of troops. Naturally, the mansion of the old housekeeper, Li Hung, was included. However, this old man was very stubborn. He said that he was the housekeeper of Lai Hot, so there was no reason for him to move out. He insisted on staying in the mansion. If Li Hang was not married, Li Wangyu would naturally let him be. But now, since Li Hang had become a good citizen, married Lady Zhao, and still lived in his own mansion, it didn't seem like a home at all. This old man didn't care, but he couldn't let that Madame Zhao suffer. It was precisely because Li Wangyu had thought of this that he deliberately proposed the bet with Li Hang.
Seeing that it had nothing to do with him, the old villager quickly nodded in agreement.
If he won, he could get a delicious meal personally cooked by Li Wangyu. If he lost, it would be even better. It would be very convenient for the village to grind rice and flour in the future. Lang Jun, it's a deal then. Hee, we'll bet with you. It's a deal. Li Hang couldn't help but push the old villager. Go away, what does it have to do with you? You old thing, what right do you have to make decisions for me? Heh, you don't know how to appreciate good intentions. Lang Jun is obviously doing it for your own good, but you're still being unreasonable. The old villager sneered and turned to Li Wangyu. Lang Jun, don't pay attention to this stubborn old man. We'll bet with you. I wonder how long it will take for you to make the mill you mentioned? Li Wangyu stretched out 3 fingers. At most 3 days. Old me, on behalf of the villagers, thank you, Lang Jun. The old villager also understood now, although it sounded difficult to understand that the mill could turn by itself. But since this was said by Li Wangyu and he said it so firmly, it must be true. The old villager looked at Li Hang again and said with a smile, Lang Jun, don't worry. In 3 days, I'll lead the villagers to help housekeeper Li move. Li Hang glared at him, so angry that he couldn't speak. Li Wangyu laughed. That's good. In that case, I'll go to Carpenter Lu's workshop and ask him to start building immediately. After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Li Hang to speak again. He turned and left, leaving the old housekeeper Li Hang in a mess in the wind. When Li Wangyu said that it didn't need to store up energy and could grind rice and flour by itself, he was naturally referring to the watermill and the watermill. He had forgotten about these 2 good things before, but after being reminded by the old villager and Li Hang's words, he remembered them. Building a watermill was simply a piece of cake for the current Dingzhou village. The reason why Li Wangyu said that 3 days would be enough was that Carpenter Lu's workshop already had water wheels of various sizes. The water wheel was the key to driving the stone mill. As for the other things, it was just a simple transmission device that converted the kinetic energy from the water wheel's rotation to drive the heavy stone mill. After carefully studying Li Wangyu's drawing of the watermill, Carpenter Lu couldn't help but slap the table in praise. Lang Jun, your watermill is too amazing. Why didn't I think that since the water can drive the water wheel to a high place, it can also drive the stone mill to rotate? Li Wangyu asked. How is it? How long will it take to build the watermill? Very fast. 2 to 3 days will be enough. The water wheel and stone mill are ready-made. We only need to build the transmission device. In addition, it's easy to build a watermill next to the Gone River. I'll let my 3 sons lead people to build the watermill now. I'll ride a horse to Hu County and find a blacksmith to build the rotating iron axes. Li Wangyu nodded and told Carpenter Lu to hurry up and build the watermill in 3 days. He didn't want to waste time and give Li Heng an excuse to refuse to move. With Li Wangyu's instructions, Carpenter Lu naturally didn't dare to waste time. He let his sons and apprentices put down their work and quickly built the watermill. The villagers didn't know what Carpenter Lu and the others were busy with by the Gone River. They only knew that they had taken away the large stone mill used by the village to grind flour, causing many villagers who were waiting to grind flour to complain. Some people even ran to the old village chief to complain, but they were scolded by the old man and told that they would know in 3 days. The villagers didn't know what was going on and discussed it. It wasn't until 3 days later that the old village chief knocked on the gong and loudly called everyone to go to the watermill that everyone gathered around. Muramasa, what did you say just now? What did Lang Jun build for us? Watermill. You idiot. It's a mill that doesn't need human labor and animal labor. It can turn on its own. The old village chief laughed. Everyone doubted their own ears. Muramasa, did you say something wrong? Don't joke with us. The mill is so heavy. How can it turn on its own without human labor and animal labor? That's right. How is that possible? The large stone mill in the village required 2 oxen to move. It doesn't need oxen to pull it or people to push it. Did Lang Jun cast a spell on the stone mill? The old village chief knocked a chestnut on the head of the youth in front of him. You idiot. How can Lang Jun be wrong? I went to take a look. It's a mill that uses a water wheel to move it. Despite his explanation, the villagers still shook their heads. It's good that the water wheel can carry water, but the stone mill is so heavy. How can the water wheel move it? That's right. The small stones by the river can't be washed away by the river. It takes 7 or 8 strong men to lift the stone mill. How can a water wheel move it? The villagers didn't believe him, but they still followed the old village chief to the watermill by the Gone River. When they saw the large stone mill that Carpenter Lu had taken away spinning under the water wheel, they were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped. Chapter 573. The watermill was installed with the stone mill that Carpenter Lu had dismantled from the village. The stone mill was huge, with a diameter of about 1.5 meters. Originally, it would have required 2 bulls to pull it. But now, what appeared in front of everyone's eyes was a millstone that was constantly rotating under the push of the water wheel. Oh my God, so this water can really move the millstone? You idiot, didn't the village chief say it just now? This is something that Lang Jun made, so how can it be wrong? Bah, you seem to be doubting it just now, right? Hee no, you heard wrong. How can I doubt Lang Jun's words? Tisk tsk, not using mules, horses, or oxen to pull the mill is really convenient and convenient. A villager immediately discovered the benefits of the watermill. Using animals to pull the mill not only required a lot of effort to drive the animals, but people also had to follow the animals and walk around the millstone. Grinding a dough of grain was not easy at all. Every time a dough of grain was ground, the animals had to rest. After all, even oxen would get tired. If they used manpower to move the mill, they could only move a small mill. This kind of large mill could not be moved by humans. Moreover, if they used manpower to move it, the efficiency would be even slower. With this water-powered stone mill, one person could grind grain. Moreover, there was no need to move at all. They only needed to continuously add grain to the stone mill. It was really much easier. Just as the villagers were discussing excitedly around the watermill, someone suddenly rushed out of the watermill. Someone curiously shouted, "Zhao Sanlang, why are you running? Go back and move the grain. Come and grind the flour." After being reminded by his words, the villagers immediately reacted. They stopped watching the watermill and all turned to run back to their houses. Not long after, there was a long line outside the watermill. Whether they needed to grind flour or not, they used wheelbarrows to transport a dough of grain, intending to try out the benefits of the watermill. The efficiency of the huge stone mill when grinding grain was astonishing. If a dough of grain was ground into flour, it could be ground once in more than 10 minutes. However, to grind it into fine flour, it usually needed to be ground at least twice. That would only take half an hour. Furthermore, this watermill didn't need to rest. It could grind continuously, so its efficiency was naturally very high. When Li Wangyu led Li Heng to inspect the watermill, the villagers of Dingzhou village crowded around and bowed to him. Lang Jun, this watermill is really useful. Thank you, Lang Jun. Thank you, Lang Jun. Lang Jun, look, this is the mill that I just made. It's so white and fine. This watermill is really too good. It doesn't take any effort at all. It only took a moment to grind it out. Zhao Sanlang, who ran the fastest, squeezed through the crowd and grabbed a handful of freshly ground flour as he spoke to Li Wangyu. Haha, that's good. I didn't let carpenter Lu work hard in vain. Li Wangyu laughed and nudged Li Heng with his elbow. How about it? If you're willing to bet, you have to admit defeat, right? Today, I will move to your courtyard. Don't be so long-winded. Li Heng had no choice but to nod silently. The watermill of Dingzhou village became the busiest place in the village. For the entire day, as long as the villagers had free time, they would run to the watermill and stare at the spinning millstone without blinking. The news quickly spread from 1 to 10, and from 10 to 100. After receiving the news, Yang Quan once again rode a horse and rushed from Hu County to Dingzhou village. He went straight to the watermill. Zio, why didn't you tell your elder brother that you made such a good thing? Yang Quan squatted in front of the watermill without a care for his image. He carefully inspected the watermill before pulling Li Wangyu to complain. Then he stretched out his hand and asked, "Where is the blueprint for this watermill?" Li Wangyu rolled his eyes speechlessly. Aren't these officials of the Tang dynasty too self-conscious? Why do I feel like I owe them something? Hee, brother Shuqing, what do you want the blueprint for? Li Wangyu pretended to be ignorant and asked back. Yang Quan was familiar with him, so naturally, he wouldn't fall for his trick. Of course it's to promote the construction of this watermill in all the villages in Hu County. Zio, don't tell me you want to ask me for money again? You are the dignified county magistrate of Hu County, yet you have the nerve to ask? Li Wangyu asked curiously. Why should I have the nerve? Brother Shuqing, friendship is friendship. Business is business. If you want the blueprint for the watermill, give me something in exchange for it. Yang Quan pretended to be angry and said, All right, I'll give you this 100 or so catty. How about it? Li Wangyu looked at Yang Quan from head to toe and shook his head. No, you're too old. It's not worth much. His words almost made Yang Quan's nose crooked from anger. He breathed heavily and said, Tell me, what do you want to do this time? Li Wangyu was waiting for him to say this. He laughed mischievously and said, Not much, not much. I'm not greedy. Help me repair the road in exchange. How about it? Yang Quan was stunned. Repair the road? Repair what road? The road from Dingzhou village to Hu County. You're the dignified county magistrate of Hu County. Haven't you noticed that this road is too lousy? Every time it rains, it becomes a muddy pond. I can't even go out. That road should have been repaired long ago. Speaking of this matter, Li Wangyu had a stomach full of complaints. The road from Dingzhou village to Hu County was not an official road and lacked maintenance. Now, it was already in tatters. Moreover, the road was narrow and could only accommodate one horse carriage. If there was a horse carriage coming from the opposite side, they had to find a wide place to pass. It was fine if they traveled on horseback, but if they sat in a horse carriage, they would feel dizzy from the bumps and it was really torturous. Now that Dingzhou village was getting richer and there were more and more horse carriages, it was time for the road to be repaired. Li Wangyu had been thinking about this for a long time. When he met Yang Quan today, he casually brought it up. Yang Zhua, on the other hand, was shocked by his words. Zio, you're asking for too much. You actually want me to build a road that's 20 li long for a watermill blueprint? Do you know how much it will cost to repair this road? Brother Shuqing, you're the dignified county magistrate of Hu County, the Ming House. How can you be so stingy? TSK, forget it. I know that you, the Ming House magistrate, are also poor. I won't bicker with you. I'll pay for the cost of repairing the road myself. However, you have to mobilize the laborers in the county to help me repair the road. Is that okay? When Li Wangyu ridiculed him for being poor, Yang Quan was speechless. However, he could agree to Li Wangyu's conditions. After all, the laborers recruited by the county every year were used to build and maintain various facilities in the county. Of course, it was also okay to let these laborers repair the road. Moreover, since Li Wangyu said that he would pay for all the expenses, Yang Quan had no reason to refuse. He pondered for a moment and nodded. Okay, I can agree to this condition. Seeing that he agreed, Li Wangyu quickly added, I want to double the width of this road. The county will have to settle the land that the roadbed occupies. Yang Quan almost wanted to blow his beard again. However, when he thought about it, there weren't many farmlands on both sides of the road from Hu County to Dingzhou Village. Even if the roadbed was doubled, he estimated that the compensation from the county would only be around 100 mu. After doing this calculation, Yang Quan decided to endure it. In any case, this road really did need to be repaired. Especially now that Pai Lupi came to Dingzhou Village from time to time, the road was too bad. It really couldn't be justified. Seeing that Yang Quan nodded in agreement, Li Wangyu opened his mouth to speak again. This time, Yang Quan couldn't hold back anymore. His saliva almost sprayed on Li Wangyu's face. Zio, that's enough. Li Wangyu shrugged. Hee, brother Xuqing, why are you in such a hurry? I mean, I'll treat you to a drink. Chapter 574. At Li Wangyu's residence, Yang Quan drank and chatted merrily with Li Wangyu. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, he returned to the county office with the blueprints for the watermill. It was currently the slack season, so enlisting laborers wasn't too troublesome. Yang Quan didn't go back on his word. He quickly recruited 5,000 laborers from the county, and had the bailiffs and scribes lead them to begin repairing the road from Dingzhou Village to Hu County. Although the laborers didn't need to be paid, Li Wangyu still had to pay for their meals. Li Wangyu naturally wasn't stingy with the copper coins. 3 meals a day, he provided the laborers with good food and drinks, including meat and fish. The laborers who came to repair the road were very grateful for County Count Hu's generosity, so they put in even more effort in repairing the road. 20 li wasn't very long. The 5,000 laborers were divided into 10 groups. Under the direction of the craftsmen sent by the county office, they started working in 10 different places. Each group of 500 people was responsible for repairing the road, and the distance was only 1 kilometer. In the Tang dynasty, the most physically exhausting part of building roads was tamping down the earth. It required countless strong men to continuously lift up heavy wooden stakes, raise them up high, and then drop them down, repeatedly smash them into the ground to tamp down the road, and then use stone rollers to roll them back and forth. Finally, firewood was placed on top of the road and the road was burned. This way, grass and insects wouldn't grow, and the road was sturdy and durable. According to Yang Zhua and the craftsmen sent by Hu County to direct the construction of the road, this 20 li-long road would take 3 to 4 months to complete. A laborer's year of service was 20 days. Yang Quan estimated that they would need to recruit 4 or 5 laborers in shifts to satisfy Li Wangyu's needs. However, Li Wangyu didn't allow them to repair the road like this. He only had the laborers fill up the road and then use stone rollers to tamp it down. He also used 4-wheeled carriages to bring over crushed stones from the quarry and lay them on top of the road. Regarding this, the craftsman in charge of the road couldn't help but advise, County Count Hu, this road isn't tamped down, but the speed is fast. But once it rained, the road would be washed away. Even if the road is paved with these stones, once those carriages are crushed, they will still sink into the stones. The road can't be built this way. Li Wangyu shook his head and smiled. It's okay. I'm going to put a layer of mirage mud on the road. Isn't that enough? What? Spreading mirage mud on the ground? Isn't this too extravagant? The craftsmen naturally knew what mirage mud was, but they had never thought of using such precious mirage mud on the road. In his opinion, wasn't this a prodigal son? The craftsman complained in his heart. In Chang'an, it was rumored that County Count Hu was a prodigal son. It seemed that the rumors were true. What was the difference between paving a road with mirage mud and paving a road with money? However, Li Wangyu was the one spending the money anyway. Since he was willing to spend it on this path, Blacksmith naturally couldn't say much. Besides, he was also very curious about what it would be like to spread the mirage mud on the road. What he didn't know was that in fact, Li Wangyu was also complaining in his heart that the Ministry of Works and the work supervisor of the Tang dynasty were too unreliable. The method of how to fire the volcanic ash in place of cement had long been given to the Ministry of Works and the work supervisor. However, half a year had passed, and the production had not increased at all. Wasn't it just calcining lime and clay in a kiln? It was such a simple thing, but it took so long. This cement had not been popularized in the Tang dynasty, and it was still a rare thing. Li Wangyu didn't know that although lime was not a rare thing in the Tang dynasty, the production was not high. After all, lime could only be obtained by craftsmen mining limestone and calcining it. The efficiency of large-scale industrial production could not be compared with the efficiency of modern times. That was to say, County Count, who was now influential enough, and Yen Liben was mediating for him in the work supervisor. Otherwise, even if he spent money, he couldn't get so much cement to pave the road. In order to build this 20 miles long road, Li Wangyu pestered and pestered endlessly. From the Ministry of Works and the General Supervisor, he obtained 20,000 stones of mirage mud. 20,000 dan, which was only 2,000 tons, cost Li Wangyu 10,000 strings of cash, which was equivalent to 5 strings of cash per ton of cement. Li Wangyu was very unhappy about this, but there was nothing he could do about it. In modern times, cement was only 400 to 500 strings of cash per ton, but these 5 strings of cash were equivalent to 20,000 strings of cash in modern times. It was really a sky-high price. As for the food expenses of the laborers, the cost of the materials for building the road, and so on, it added up to more than 10,000 strings of cash. Li Wangyu threw out more than 20,000 strings of copper coins for the short journey of 20 li, under the circumstances where the laborer didn't need to pay wages. Fortunately, he didn't lack money. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to build a cement road so extravagantly. The price was not cheap. In modern times, building a 4-meter-wide village road with concrete cost about 300,000 strings of cash per kilometer. And Li Wangyu spent 20,000 strings of cash to build this 10-li road, which was equivalent to 80 million in modern times. The cost of 8 million per kilometer was an astronomical price. With enough financial support and the laborers' hard work, a never-before-seen cement road appeared in the Tang dynasty in a short 20 days. Huxian County Count Li Wangyu was squandering again. This news quickly spread through Hu County, and even into Chong'an and Pai Lupi's ears. Everyone had different reactions to this. Some shook their heads and sighed, some were envious, and some were expectant. On the day that the new road was completed, not only was Dingzhou village in an uproar, but the villagers of Hu County and the surrounding villages also flocked to see this squandering road. That's right, the 20-li road from Hu County to Dingzhou village was now jokingly called the squandering road by the people of Hu County. Spending 20,000 strings of cash to build a 10-li road was simply too outrageous. If this wasn't squandering, then what was? But when the people crowded around this squandering road, they were all stupefied. This was a road? It looked like a road paved with grayish-white stone slabs. This was truly beyond the imagination of the Tang people. Although Li Wangyu had already handed over cement to the imperial court, it was still rarely seen among the common people, much less used to pave roads. The common people had never seen a road paved with cement, and they had never imagined that it would look like this. An elderly man smashed his crutch on the cement road a few times in disbelief. Not only was there no dent, his hand went numb from the impact. This is an immortal art. This road is clearly paved with stone slabs. Great-grandfather, this is mirage mud. Do you know what mirage mud is? It was made by the Count of Hu County. After the mirage mud dries up, it becomes this kind of mud. It's incomparably hard and impervious to fire and water. It's truly miraculous, someone explained to the old man. A busybody immediately ran over to fetch a bucket of water and poured it over the road. The crowd watched as the water did not seep into the road. Instead, it flowed to the sides of the road and into the drainage ditches. The remaining water stains on the cement road quickly evaporated under the sunlight, leaving not a single trace of water behind. There were also 4 grooves in the cement road, with wooden tracks embedded in them. These were tracks designed for carriages, and they were called tracks. Of course, things like tracks were not invented by Li Wangyu. Tracks had already appeared in the Qin dynasty. These wooden tracks would hold the wheels of the carriages. They were smooth and smooth, allowing the carriages to move very quickly. These tracks were similar to the tracks of the Tang dynasty, but they were smoother and smoother. While the people of Hu County were marveling at this squandering road, another group of people had set out from Chong'an and was heading straight for this road. Chapter 575. The person who came was Pai Lupi. He led a group of civil and military officials to visit Li Wangyu's prodigal road. Li Wangyu had already mentioned to Pai Lupi and the others about using mirage mud to build roads. However, No one took it to heart. In the eyes of Pai Lupi and the others, such precious mirage mud should be used to build city walls and fortresses. Only then would they be impregnable. He didn't think it would be beneficial to use it to build roads. He even thought it was a waste. Today, Pai Lupi and the officials were discussing matters in the morning court when Mi Tua came to report that Li Wangyo's 20-li-long Mirage Mud Road was open to traffic today. Although Pai Lupi thought it was a waste to use Mirage Mud to build roads, he was very curious about the road built with Mirage Mud. Therefore, under the urging of Chang Yaojin and the others, he simply stopped the morning court and led the officials directly to Hu County to watch the fun. When they arrived at the cement road outside Hu County, it was already as lively as the Lantern Festival. The cement road was full of people who came to watch the fun. Although Pai Lupi was the emperor of the Tang dynasty, and the officials and nobles were also a group of people with the highest status in the Tang dynasty, when they saw the cement road, their reaction was not much better than the crowd of Hu County people. The group of civil and military officials, when faced with this unprecedented cement road, couldn't help but gasp in surprise. Chang Yaojin even jumped down from his horse and stomped on the road a few times with his feet. Son of a bitch. Zio is really generous. This Mirage Mud is actually used to pave the road? My goodness, this road is really solid. No matter how hard the road is, it's not as good as this Mirage Mud. Yuqi Jingda, Qin Qiong, and the other generals were also shocked by the road that was as flat as a stone slab. Some people even pulled out the sabers at their waists and slashed the road. Duan Luan, the Minister of Works, carefully inspected the cement road beneath his feet. He then turned his head and called for a carriage. He had the carriage drive up and down the road a few times. After the series of tests were completed, he turned his head to Pai Lupi and praised, "Your Majesty, County Count Huxian's Mirage Mud Road is incredible." The road was flat, and the carriage was even faster than before. This subject has tested it just now. Compared to the official road, the speed of the carriage can be increased by almost 10%, and it is very stable. Not only does it save on horsepower, the carriage can also carry more goods. Amazing. Pai Lupi nodded. When Ziyu said that this Mirage Mud could be used to pave the road, I didn't think so. But I didn't expect that the road paved with Mirage Mud would be so incredible. It was really beyond my expectations. Duan Qing, the production of the Mirage Mud needs to be increased as soon as possible. Duan Luan smiled bitterly. Your Majesty, I naturally know the benefits of the Mirage Mud, but the production of lime is limited. This subject has already ordered people to do their best to mine the limestone and burn it. The main reason is that the limestone mine is remote and inconvenient to transport. Li Wangyu, who had rushed over after receiving the news to welcome Pai Lupi and the others, heard Duan Luan's words and couldn't help but be surprised. In his memories, China was an important source of limestone. Almost every province and city had limestone mines. In particular, Guangzhou Road, which was located in the modern Shaanxi province, had the largest limestone reserves in the country, close to 5 billion tons. Duan Luan actually said that the limestone mine was remote and inconvenient to transport? Could it be that the limestone mines haven't been discovered yet? This was interesting. Li Wangyu rubbed his chin and felt that he could make a move. It seemed to be a good business. Not to mention the large mines far away, he didn't have enough manpower or machinery to mine them. However, Li Wangyu remembered that there was a limestone mine in Hu County. Back then, the limestone mining companies in Hu County didn't pay attention to environmental protection and crazily mined. At one time, there were close to 1,000 mining companies and thousands of lime kilns. After more than 10 years of vicious mining, the pollution caused by the production of these companies caused the surrounding people to suffer greatly. After the TV interview was broadcasted on TV, it caused a huge social reaction. Li Wangyu also remembered the existence of the limestone mine in Hu County after watching that news program. However, now wasn't the time to talk about this. It was better to find someone to explore the mine and confirm its location. After Li Wangyu remembered this matter, he greeted Pai Lupi and the others and introduced them to the cement road. Zio, I heard that you spent 20,000 strings of cash to build this road? Do you know what the people of Hu County call this road? Li Wangyu laughed and said, Hee, I know. It's the road of squandering. I think it's pretty good. Building a road and squandering is a good thing. If Yang Mingfu, Chui Ming House, and Lu Ming House are willing, I'm even willing to use my own money to build the road from Hu County to Chong and into a Mirage Mud Road like this. What does Uncle think? His words moved Pai Lupi. The road from Hu County to Dingzhou Village was only 20 li. Moreover, only Dingzhou Village and the villages along the road would benefit from it. However, if they wanted to build the road from Hu County to Chang'an, it would be too valuable. As the southern gate of Chang'an, Hu County was an important connection to Yizhou. Moreover, due to the high price of housing in Chang'an, many merchants set up their workshops in Hu County. Every day, countless carriages and caravans traveled between Hu County and Chang'an. In fact, after seeing the cement road built by Li Wangyu, Pai Lupi had already thought about how spectacular it would be if such a road could be built throughout the Tang dynasty. However, 20,000 yuan to build 20 kilometers of road was such an expensive price that it directly discouraged Pai Lupi from building the road. How many official roads were there in the Tang dynasty? If all the roads were to be built at this price, the Tang dynasty would probably become the first dynasty to go bankrupt because of road construction. Now that Li Wangyu proposed to use his own money to repair the 80 li road from Hu County to Chang'an, Pai Lupi was naturally happy to see it happen. If 20 li cost 20,000 strings of cash, wouldn't 80 li cost 80,000 strings of cash? Moreover, the official road from Hu County to Chang'an was incomparable to the small road from Dingzhou Village. It was at least twice as wide as the Mirage Mud Road in front of them. Based on this calculation, it would probably cost no less than 100,000 strings of coins to build this 80-mile-long road, or even more. Li Wangyu was willing to pay for this. Whether it was Pai Lupi or the civil and military officials, no one was unwilling. Yang Quan, Cui Zhua, and Lu Deheng looked at each other and immediately stood up. Your Majesty, we naturally agree. If the Count of Hu County is willing to pay for the construction of the official road from Hu County to Chang'an, we will take care of all the enlistment without any objections. Pai Lupi nodded slightly and looked at Li Wangyu. Zio, have you thought it through? Are you willing to pay for the construction of the official road from Chang'an to Hu County? Li Wangyu's smile became even brighter. Uncle, I naturally can pay for the construction. However, if I spend a lot of money to build this official road, there should be some benefits, right? Pai Lupi was slightly stunned. What benefits do you want? Not much, not much. I only want 100 copper coins. Chapter 576. Li Wangyu's words stunned Pai Lupi and the officials. They thought that there was something wrong with their ears. Only 100 copper coins? What the hell? What kind of condition was this? Li Wangyu calmly explained. Uncle, if I were to pay for the construction of this official road, the people would naturally be free to use it. However, shouldn't I pay a fee for the carriages of the merchants that come and go? 100 copper coins per carriage shouldn't be too much, right? His words made the officials and Pai Lupi even more confused. Many of them immediately began to silently calculate how much profit Li Wangyu could make by proposing this. At present, there were no less than 1,000 carriages going back and forth between Chang'an and Hu County every day. 100 copper coins per carriage really wasn't much. When Li Wangyu ate breakfast with Niu Yong, Niu Wu, and the others at Chongren Square, he spent more than 100 copper coins. The officials secretly pondered. Was it a lot to pay 100 copper coins to travel on such a flat Mirage Mud Road? 1,000 carriages could collect 100 copper coins in a day. In a year, they could collect 30,000 strings of copper coins. Even if the road required 100,000 strings of copper coins, it would only take 3 years to recoup the investment. After that, it would be a net profit. The officials silently calculated in their hearts and suddenly realized that Li Wangyu wanted to build this road. The profits were too great. Wang Renyu, Zhang Yuanshou, and the other influential figures looked at each other and stood up to express their opposition. Your Majesty, you can't do this. How can the official road become a private road and collect fees? County Count whose words are incorrect. Your Majesty, you can't do this. If the official road becomes a private road, what kind of scandal is this? If you want to collect 100 copper coins per journey for 80 li, Your Majesty, how is this different from highway robbery? Nowadays, there are no fees on the official road. That's right, Your Majesty. How can we let County Count who exploit the people like this? The private road they were talking about was a privately built road. In the Tang dynasty, privately built roads had already been charged for the passage of pedestrians. Pai Lupi was originally somewhat tempted, but after being persuaded by Wang Renyu and the others, he couldn't help but hesitate. Zio, 100 coins seems a little too much.
Li Wangyu had a very reluctant expression on his face.
Then what about 50 copper coins? Can I charge you 50 copper coins?
Wang Renyu and the others naturally shook their heads.
No, 50 coins is still too much. The common people have worked so hard. It's inappropriate to exploit them like this. In fact, they didn't care how much they charged. In short, they couldn't let Li Wangyu build this road to make money. Even Wang Renyu, Zhang Yuanshou, and the others were already wondering if the counties where their families were located could use this method to build mirage mud roads and then charge a fee. This seemed to be a good deal. Although the initial investment was huge, they could reap rich returns for many years. Li Wangyu could only shrug his shoulders in response to Wang Renyu and the other patriarchs' objections. If that's the case, then forget it. The money in my residence doesn't grow on trees. I can't just throw it into the water and listen to the sound. In fact, Li Wangyu didn't really want to build the official road between Hu County and Chang'an. Before the production of cement in the Tang dynasty increased substantially and the price of cement lowered, the cost of building cement roads was too high. It was simply a thankless act. The purpose of his words just now was to plant a seed in Pai Lupi's heart. He wanted to let him know that building roads wasn't just a matter of losing money, but also had great potential. As the saying goes, if you want to be rich, you have to build roads first. This saying was absolutely correct. Li Wangyu felt that as long as he found the location of a lime mine in Hu County, the production of lime would naturally gradually increase. As the production of cement increased, wouldn't it be logical to use cement to build roads? He didn't think there was anything wrong with charging for road building. Although free things were good, seeing the profits would make the Tang dynasty pay attention to road building. As for charging 100 copper coins for 80 li of road, it was indeed too expensive. In Li Wangyu's view, charging 10 copper coins for every 200 li of cement highway was quite reasonable. On average, 1 copper coin per kilometer was equivalent to 8 or 9 times the highway charging standard of later generations. Once several cement highways were built in the Tang dynasty, the economy of the Tang dynasty would inevitably become more prosperous and the national power would become more prosperous. This was all foreseeable.
However, this matter wasn't urgent.
It was better to take it slowly. Pai Lupi didn't mention the road building anymore. He and the other officials were in high spirits. They carefully observed the Mirage Mud Road several times. They even pulled Chang Yaojin and the others to gallop back and forth on the 20 li of cement road several times. The iron horseshoes collided with the cement road, constantly producing crisp sounds of hooves. It was very pleasant to the ears. After Pai Lupi had his fill, he called the officials to return to Chang'an. Although he didn't say anything before leaving, it was obvious that Pai Lupi had remembered this cement road in his heart. For a long time after that, the Prodigal Road, built by Li Wangyu with a huge sum of money, became the favorite place of the people of Hu County. Every day, many busybodies would go there to watch the fun. It was called the Internet Celebrity Road. Even in Chang'an, many people would ride horses to see it. Some people even used stones to knock on the road to test if it was really as indestructible as the rumors said. Yang Quan was afraid that people would destroy the road, so he had no choice but to arrange for the yamen runners to maintain order on the cement road every day. After more than half a month, it wasn't until the middle of the 11th month of the second year of Zhengguan that the popularity of the Prodigal Road slowly dissipated. There were no longer many onlookers. Li Wangyu was living a carefree life now. He had already fiddled with the fireworks and was waiting for Pai Lupi's birthday to show them. The more than 200 palace maids also had their beautiful superiors to arrange daily rehearsals for them. He didn't need to worry about them. Things went his way one after another. Back then, he had impulsively submitted a memorial to Pai Lupi to have the 100,000 people of Hu County switch to planting rice. Originally, he wasn't sure about this, but now, there seemed to be signs of success. The winter rice that had been sown actually started to sprout in the winter. This made Yang Quan, the county magistrate, overjoyed. Every day, he would ride his horse to each village and personally go down to the fields to check on the rice seedlings. According to the estimates of the experienced farmers in the county, in another 40 to 50 days, the rice in Hu County would ripen and be ready for harvest. After receiving this news, Li Wangyu let out a sigh of relief. It was as if a stone had been lifted from his heart. To be honest, if these rice plants had failed, Li Wangyu really didn't know how to face the people of Hu County. It wasn't that he couldn't support the 100,000 people, but that he couldn't face the disappointed gazes of the people. However, Li Wangyou's leisurely days didn't last long. The old immortal Sun Simiao came looking for him. Trouble had come knocking. Chapter 577. On this day, Li Wangyou had nothing to do, so he led Niu Wu and a group of troops to watch the palace maids rehearse. Lang Jun, are you planning to let these palace maids perform this on the saint's birthday? I'm afraid it's inappropriate. Niu Wu didn't even blink as he questioned Li Wangyou's decision. Li Wangyou kicked him in the butt angrily. Please wipe the saliva off the corner of your mouth before you say something more convincing. Niu Wu hurriedly wiped the corner of his mouth with his sleeve, but found nothing. Lang Jun, you're lying to me again. Where's the saliva? Humph, is that so? Then I'll have Xie Sanyang take a look and confirm whether or not you're drooling. The Xie Sanyang Li Wangyou mentioned was Niu Wu's beautiful palace maid wife. These two wives of Niu Yong and Niu Wu were born in Taiji Palace. Not only were they good at singing and dancing, but they could also write and draw. In this era where illiterates were everywhere, they were already considered high-end elites. Their beautiful boss was getting busier and busier, so she naturally needed people to help her. Strictly speaking, Perrin and Aphrodite were still in the category of illiterates. Needless to say, Perrin was naturally illiterate. When she was with Li Wangyou, she learned a little. If it was according to the standards of the Tang dynasty, Perrin was actually literate because she could write her own name. In the Tang dynasty, it was recognized that those who could write their own name were not illiterates. As for Aphrodite, although she could speak fluent Chinese, she couldn't write. According to the standards of the Tang dynasty, she was a standard illiterate. Even if she had received excellent education in Byzantium, it was useless. Therefore, Perrin and Aphrodite were still bitterly learning to read from their beautiful boss. Niu Yong's wife, Su Qiao, Niu Wu's wife, Xie Sanyang, and the dozen or so palace maids who married into Dingzhou village were in high demand in the eyes of their beautiful boss. What was the most precious thing in the 17th century? Talents. In the eyes of her beautiful superior, this group of palace maids who could write and calculate were the talents of the Tang dynasty. Under her persuasion, all the palace maids abandoned their families and husbands, one after another. They no longer stayed in the courtyard to take care of their husbands and children. Instead, they followed their beautiful superior and worked for her. These dozen or so former palace maids were all regarded as capable assistants by their beautiful superiors. Many palace maids were even appointed by their beautiful superior as stewards of the carriage business and lingerie shop. They helped their beautiful superior to manage these businesses. Every day, just like their beautiful superior, they took the carriage to and fro between Chang'an and Dingzhou village every day. In the Tang dynasty, there were women who went out to work, but it was not the norm. How could this group of newly married old soldiers be willing to let their beautiful wives go out every day? Niu Yong, Niu Wu, and the old soldiers in the village complained about this. They even complained to Li Wangyou in private a few times. However, when they found that the monthly salary that their wives brought back was higher than theirs, these old soldiers could only shut up obediently. Moreover, this group of women now had the support of their beautiful superior. Whether it was Niu Yong, Niu Wu, or the old soldiers, they did not dare to offend their beautiful superior. As for their own wives, they had no right to speak. In this regard, Li Wangyou was heartless and laughed very happily. Wahahaha, it's time for you old men to experience the miserable situation of men in the future in advance. Now, when their beautiful superior went out, she was followed by a group of beautiful stewards and assistants. How impressive! As the 73 troops married palace maids again, Li Wangyou could foresee that the group of women around their beautiful superior would continue to grow. Now, even though the two daughters-in-law of the Niu family, Su Qiao and Xie Sanyang, were pregnant, they still followed their beautiful superior and helped her do things. When he heard Li Wangyou's words, Niu Wu immediately stopped smiling and replied seriously, Lang Jun, your idea is really amazing. The sage will definitely like it. Get lost. Li Wangyou was too lazy to pay attention to this guy. He turned his head and continued to watch the palace maids rehearse. Needless to say, in the future, he had never received such treatment. More than 200 graceful and beautiful women in thin clothes were twisting their bodies seductively in front of him. It was really a rare sight. Li Wangyou, Niu Wu, and the troops were watching happily. Then, they saw their beautiful superior leading her group of female assistants over. Is it nice? Li Wangyu subconsciously wanted to reply that it was nice, but his strong desire to live made him change his words. It's okay. The dance team is not neat enough. Chongqing, you have to supervise them and be strict with them. The sage's birthday is in a month. I don't dare to delay. Time is tight and the task is urgent. I'll leave it to you. I just came to see how the rehearsal is going. Since there are no problems, I'll leave first. After Li Wangyu finished speaking, he prepared to lead Niu Wu and the troops to retreat. However, he heard his beautiful superior instruct Su Qiao and the others. In the future, when the palace maids are training, pay attention to the door. Don't let some people peep at the palace maids. Humph, big pig trotter. Her words almost made Li Wangyu stumble and fall. He didn't dare to say more and quickly pulled Niu Wu and the others away. Lang Jun, why did Lady Su say that you're a big pig trotter? Niu Wu asked Li Wangyu, touching a sore spot. Shut up. She was talking about you. Li Wangyu was so angry that he kicked this guy twice to vent his anger. While he was playing with Niu Wu, he saw the old housekeeper Li Hang hurriedly come over. Lang Jun, I saw that old immortal son sent someone to ask you to go to the Taoist temple. He said that he has something important to tell you. When Li Wangyu heard this, he felt that it was strange. Why was Sun Simiao looking for him? Li Wangyu had already asked the supervising craftsman to make the microscope that Sun Simiao wanted and sent it to the Taoist temple. Although the magnification wasn't high, Li Wangyu estimated that it was at most 40 to 50 times magnification. It was similar to the simple microscopes used by elementary school students in the future to do scientific experiments. They could barely see the microorganisms in the water. Li Wangyu really didn't know how to make a lens with a bigger magnification. He could only ask the supervising craftsman to continue to study how to increase the magnification of the microscope. Even so, the simple microscope that was sent to the Taoist temple shocked Sun Simiao and he treated it like a divine weapon. Especially when the old Taoist saw the magnified scenes in his hair, blood, water, and leaves under Li Wangyu's guidance, he became even more obsessed. He hugged the microscope every day and refused to let go. Recently, the old Taoist didn't find trouble with Li Wangyu. He spent every day in the Taoist temple doing his scientific research. Since Sun Simiao was looking for him, Li Wangyu naturally wouldn't delay. He immediately rode to the Taoist temple. When he entered the Taoist temple, Sun Simiao's disciples naturally led him to the old Taoist. Zio, you came at the right time. Haha, the penicillin you mentioned before, this poor Taoist has made it. Sun Simiao's words struck Li Wangyu like lightning. What? Penicillin was made? Chapter 578. Sun Simiao's words made Li Wangyu's voice tremble uncontrollably. Old immortal son, what did you say? Penicillin is the miracle drug you mentioned. I made it according to your method, but I don't know how to use it. Zio, please explain it in detail, Sun Simiao said with a smile while twirling his beard. Li Wangyu fell to the floor, his lips trembling. It's really penicillin? Old immortal son, you can't joke about this. Have you tested the efficacy of the drug? The method of making penicillin that he gave to Sun Simiao was just something he learned from the TV series. Whether it was true or not, or if the scriptwriter made it up, he didn't know. The reason why he told Sun Simiao this was that he wanted to keep the old Taoist so that he and his beautiful boss could have a medical insurance. Secondly, he also had the mentality that Sun Simiao, the king of medicine, could really make penicillin. However, Li Wangyu didn't have much hope for this. After all, it was more than 1,000 years in advance. With the current technological strength of the Tang dynasty, it was really incredible to make a miracle drug like penicillin. Therefore, when Sun Simiao said that he made penicillin, Li Wangyu lost his composure. Well, according to what Zio said before, I took out the infected filth from the patients and smeared it on the crystal. Penicillin was also smeared on it. Now that 7 days have passed, there is no penicillin in the areas smeared with penicillin. According to what Zio said before, this should be a success, right? I also looked under the microscope. The areas smeared with penicillin are indeed free of grape-like bacteria. Sun Simiao said and pointed to the microscope, indicating Li Wangyu to look at it himself. Li Wangyu didn't say anything. He rushed in front of the microscope and adjusted the eyepiece. On the crystal that was used as the objective lens, he could clearly see the boundary. The areas smeared with penicillin were clean, but outside were piled up grape-like bacteria. Li Wangyu remembered that this was Staphylococcus, the most common type of pyogenic coccus. There was no doubt that Sun Simiao's penicillin was effective. Li Wangyu's fingers trembled. Penicillin was a miracle drug that could save lives. This was especially true in the Tang dynasty. Son, old immortal son, it's really penicillin. You really made it. Old immortal, you really are the king of medicine. Li Wangyu was so excited that he even called out Sun Simiao's honorific title. Regarding this, Sun Simiao only twirled his beard and laughed heartily. Ziyu, you're exaggerating. I'm not some medicine king. Ziyu, please tell us how to use this penicillin. Injections. Li Wangyu answered matter-of-factly. Sun Simiao was puzzled. What is an injection? Li Wangyu was dumbfounded. Injection was to use a syringe to inject medicine into the body. But in the Tang dynasty, where would they find syringes and needles? The syringe was simple, so he could make do with a bamboo tube. Li Wangyu estimated that with Carpenter Lu's skills, it wouldn't be a problem to make some bamboo syringes out of bamboo. Although they wouldn't be as transparent as glass in the future, they could still be used. The troublesome part was the needles. This thing had to be hollow and so small. Li Wangyu wasn't confident that the craftsmen of the Tang dynasty could make such a delicate needle. He could only go to the construction bureau and discuss with the craftsmen to see if they could make the needles. Li Wangyu pondered for a moment and was about to explain to Sun Simiao what a syringe was and what an injection was when he saw one of Sun Simiao's disciples hurriedly walk in. Grandmaster, there's a guest. Sun Simiao frowned unhappily. Didn't I say that there won't be any guests? Can't you see that I'm talking business with County Count Who? The disciple hesitated for a moment before continuing. It's Mr. Treasure. He said that he wants to reason with Grandmaster and seek justice for his disciple. Li Wangyu was confused. What kind of trouble did Sun Simiao get himself into? Why would someone want to seek justice for his disciple? Sun Simiao frowned. When did I bully his disciple? What justice do I want? Mr. Treasure said that Gung Hong, who was beaten to death by the sage, Gung Fengyu, was his disciple. Sun Simiao's disciple's words stunned Li Wangyu. Gung Hong, Gung Fengyu, had been beaten to death by the Pai Lupi because he had colluded with the aristocratic families to force the Pai Lupi to abdicate. What did this have to do with Sun Simiao? Who was this Mr. Treasure? Was he also a doctor? Li Wangyu felt that this name sounded familiar, but he couldn't remember. He asked Sun Simiao, Old immortal son, who is this Mr. Treasure? Sun Simiao shook his head with a bitter smile and explained, Sigh, Mr. Treasure is also a famous doctor. His surname is Zhang, and his name is Treasure. His courtesy name is Tan, and he is from Liang. Mr. Treasure is now 70 years old. He used to be an official in the imperial court, serving as an official of the Honglu Temple. Now, he has resigned and returned home. I don't know why you are looking for me today. What does Gung Hong's death have to do with me? Li Wangyu heard this and remembered that Zhang Treasure was also a famous doctor in the early Tang dynasty. There were records of him in history, but he didn't expect Gung Hong to be his disciple. Old immortal son. There must be some misunderstanding? Maybe so. Ziyu, sit for a while. I will be back soon. Sun Simiao stood up and prepared to meet Zhang Treasure with his disciple. Li Wangyu thought that Gung Hong's death seemed to have something to do with him, so he stood up as well. Old immortal son. I will go with you. If there is any misunderstanding, I can help you explain. Sun Simiao didn't refuse. He nodded slightly and walked out. Li Wangyu quickly followed. Under the guidance of Sun Simiao's disciple, the two went to the Taoist temple's guest room. In the room sat an old man with white hair and beard. There were a few middle-aged men serving him. When the old man saw Sun Simiao appear, he coldly snorted. Greetings, Taoist Sunday. I came here uninvited today to demand an explanation for my disappointing disciple. Sun Simiao wasn't annoyed by his attitude. Mr. Treasure, there must be some misunderstanding. The death of your disciple, Gung Hong, has nothing to do with me. How can it have nothing to do with you? It was you who misled the saint. That's why he beat my poor disciple to death in anger. As an elder, how can you deny it like this? Li Wangyu was also confused. He couldn't help but interrupt. Mr. Treasure, Gung Hong's death was entirely his own fault. What does it have to do with Old Immortal Sun? Even if Old Immortal Sun cured the Crown Prince's intestinal blockage, it has nothing to do with Gung Hong's death. How can Old Immortal Sun be blamed? Zhang Baozong was very unhappy with Li Wangyou's words. I'm talking to Taoist Sunday. Who are you to interrupt? Taoist Sun, is this how you teach your disciples? Sun Simiao twirled his beard and smiled. Haha, I can't teach a disciple like County Count Hu. Mr. Treasure, you have misunderstood. This is the founding County Count of County Count Hu, Li Wangyou. Oh, you are Li Wangyou? That's great. I don't have to make another trip. Today, I want to talk to you. After Zhang Baozong heard Li Wangyou's identity, he didn't change his attitude. Instead, he glared at Li Wangyou and became more and more impolite. Li Wangyou, on the other hand, was stunned. Wasn't this person taking him too seriously? What arrogance! Chapter 579. Li Wangyou naturally did not know that Zhang Baozong, as a famous doctor, was sought after by many. Moreover, he had once been an official of the Honglu Temple, a third-rank official who had retired. Naturally, he did not think much of Li Wangyou, a fourth-rank official who had founded the country. Zhang Baozong was now 70 years old and was known as a famous doctor, a godly doctor. This caused this old man to develop a bad temper. Li Wangyou was slightly startled by Zhang Baozong's words. Mr. Baozong, I respect you as an old man, but you cannot speak carelessly. Gung Hong clearly said that the Crown Prince had passed away in front of hundreds of officials and saints at the Taiji Palace. This angered the saint and caused him to be beaten to death. What does this have to do with me and Old Immortal Sun? Zhang Baozong's temper was even worse. He slapped the table and said angrily, Nonsense! If you and Taoist Sun did not purposely hide the Crown Prince's illness and mislead my disciple, how would he have angered the saint? The old man's words made Li Wangyou so angry that he laughed. This was really Zhu Beiji's way of putting the blame on others. Gung Hong's medical skills were not good and he was stubborn. He was not willing to cooperate with him to save Li Chengqian. Now, Zhang Baozong was actually using this as an excuse to criticize him and Sun Simiao. He was truly shameless. Not to mention that it was Pai Lupi who personally gave the order to seal off Li Chengqian's illness. Even if he purposely did not let Gung Hong know, so what? What obligation did he have to explain Li Chengqian's condition to Gung Hong, the imperial physician of the Shangyao Bureau? Who did this Zhang Baozong think his disciple was? Zhang Baozong was still unwilling to let it go. He pointed at Sun Simiao and impolitely criticized. Taoist Sun, you only accidentally cured the Crown Prince's intestinal abscess. Why did you kill my disciple? Sun Simiao was a monk and could not be bothered to argue with him. He only calmly cupped his hands and bowed. Immeasurable deity, Mr. Baozong has misunderstood. Misunderstood? What did I misunderstand? My disciple is the Taoist of the Medicine Bureau. It is his duty to treat the Crown Prince. Even if you have cured the Crown Prince, you should still inform him. Taoist Sun, do you dare to say that you didn't purposely conceal the method to cure the intestinal abscess and purposely seal the Crown Prince's illness so that my disciple, Gung Hong, would misjudge the Crown Prince's illness and ultimately cause my disciple's death? Li Wang, you really didn't know what to say. Was this old man crazy? Should everyone in the world follow his wishes? Why didn't he just ascend to heaven? Li Wangyu wasn't going to be polite either. He flung his robe and stood up. Since Mr. Treasure thinks so, then there's nothing more to say. If Mr. Treasure thinks that Old Immortal Sun and I deliberately killed Gung Hong, you can go to the censorate to complain. You don't have to come here and show off your eloquence. Zhang Baozong was very old, and his temper was even worse. When he heard Li Wangyou's words, he was so angry that he stomped his feet. Young man, how could you not know how to respect your elders? Is this how you talk to this old man? Don't think that just because you're the founding uncle, you can be so unscrupulous. Li Wangyou ignored his clamor and turned to Sun Simiao. Old Immortal Sun, let's go. There's nothing to say to this kind of person. Sun Simiao nodded silently and turned to leave. Stop. This old man hasn't finished speaking. Zhang Baozong was even more angry and raised his voice. This old man must seek justice for my disciple. After you killed my disciple, everyone in Chang'an City is saying that you, Taoist Sun, have better medical skills and are the best doctor in the world. and my Zhang family's medical skills are useless. This is simply outrageous. This old man wants to compete with you in medical skills, Daoist son, to prove my Zhang family's medical skills. Daoist son, do you dare to accept the challenge? When Li Wangyu heard his words, he somewhat understood in his heart. This Zhang Baozong didn't want to seek justice for his disciple, Gung Hong. He clearly felt that Gung Hong didn't cure Crown Prince Li Chengqian and was beaten to death, which made his Zhang family lose face. This was why he shamelessly ran back to Chang'an City from his hometown, Liang City, to find trouble with Sun Simiao. In reality, he just wanted to make a name for himself. This Zhang Baozong was so old, but he still cared so much about fame. This made Li Wangyu a little surprised. However, Li Wangyu felt that he wanted to compete with Sun Simiao in medical skills. That was purely looking for trouble. Although Zhang Baozong was considered a famous doctor in the beginning of the Tang dynasty and had left his name in history, compared to the king of medicine, he was not just a little bit inferior. How could he compare? Li Wangyu couldn't help but laugh at Zhang Baozong's words. How can the light of a firefly compete with the brilliance of the sun and the moon? Old immortal sun's medical skills are not something you, Mr. Baozong, can compare to. You're thinking well. If you lose, it's okay. If you win, you can spread the news everywhere? Make a name for your Zhang family? But what right does old immortal sun have to compete with you in medical skills? Do you think it's honorable to win? You really don't know what you're talking about. Count who? You're also responsible for the death of my disciple, Gung Hong. This old man hasn't even argued with you. How dare you humiliate this old man like this? Humiliate? Haha. Li Wangyu was too lazy to say anything more. Sun Simiao naturally didn't want to say anything more. To him, a medical competition was extremely boring. If he had the time, he might as well experiment with the efficacy of penicillin. Immeasurable celestial venerable, Mr. Baozong, this is just a misunderstanding. Let's not talk about it anymore. I also feel very sorry for your disciple's death, but it really has nothing to do with me. I ask Mr. Baozong not to hop on this matter anymore. It's getting late. Mr. Baozong, you should return to Chang'an City as soon as possible. Sun Simiao ordered him to leave. Zhang Baozong stood up with the help of several middle-aged disciples beside him. He laughed and said, Daoist son, this old man respects you as a senior in the medical field, but if you're going to be such a coward, this old man will be very disappointed. I didn't expect the world-renowned priest's son to not even have the guts to compete with this old man in medical skills. Haha, this is really interesting. Interesting. Sun Simiao wasn't moved by Zhang Baozong's mockery. He was almost 100 years old. What hadn't he seen? Zhang Baozong's provocation wasn't even worth mentioning. Sun Simiao's disciples and grand-disciples, on the other hand, glared at Zhang Baozong after hearing his words. But because of their status, they didn't dare to speak up. But while Sun Simiao could tolerate it, Li Wangyu couldn't. How could the medicine king, Sun Simiao, be humiliated by Zhang Baozong? Li Wangyu flashed in front of Zhang Baozong and said, Haha, Mr. Baozong, it's not impossible for you to compete in medical skills. But I don't think you have the right to compete with old immortal Sunday. How about this? I also know a little about medical skills. Since you keep saying that I have to take responsibility for Gung Hong's death, then that's great. Let me and old immortal Sun's disciples compete in medical skills with you, Mr. Baozong. How about it? No. Sun Simiao said anxiously. Zhang Baozong curled his lips in disdain and said, Count who, when it comes to medical skills, you don't have the right. Is that so? But everyone in Chang'an City says that I, Li Wangyu, am also a divine doctor. Go and ask the people. Do they know you, Mr. Baozong? It seems like I'm at a disadvantage if I compete with you in medical skills, Li Wangyu said mockingly. He wasn't wrong. Zhang Baozong's reputation was mostly among the court officials and aristocratic families. The Zhang family had never treated the common people. So how could they have any reputation among the common people? Li Wangyu's words almost angered the old man to death. Zhang Baozong stared at Li Wangyu and panted heavily. Chapter 580. Li Wangyu's words infuriated Zhang Baozong. Good. Since Count Huxian says so, then this old man will compete with you first. I'll send someone to inform the patient. In 3 days, we'll take turns treating patients at the Imperial Physician Bureau. Whoever cures the most patients in 10 days wins. How about it? The Imperial Physician Bureau's Imperial Physician Medallion and Imperial Physician Deputy can bear witness. Li Wangyu naturally didn't object. He nodded with an expression that said, "As long as you're happy." Sun Simiao became anxious and tried to dissuade him. "Zio, why bother? This competition is meaningless. Don't fight with Mr. Baozong. Mr. Baozong, your disciple's death was a misunderstanding. It has nothing to do with me and Mr. Baozong. Let's just drop the matter of the competition." Zhang Baozong shook his head. "No. Since Mr. Baozong wants to compete with me, how can I drop the matter?" Li Wangyu also smiled and comforted Sun Simiao. "Old immortal son, I'll accept this. There's no need to worry." Sun Simiao saw that the two sides were determined to compete and could only sigh. Zhang Baozong turned to Li Wangyu and said, "Since it's a competition of medical skills, there needs to be a prize. If I lose, I'll immediately scram back to Liang and never treat patients again. I wonder what prize Mr. Baozong will offer if you lose?" Li Wangyu looked at him indifferently. "Mr. Baozong, what do you want? Why don't you just say it?" "Mr. Baozong, if you lose, have Lu Xinwei resign from his position as Imperial Physician of the Shangyao Bureau and recommend my disciple for the position. In addition, teach my disciple the method to treat intestinal ulcers." Li Wangyu couldn't help but smile at Zhang Baozong's words. "All right, no problem. However, since you want Brother Xinwei's position, I'll compete with Mr. Baozong with him. I'm sure Mr. Baozong won't mind, right?" "Humph, as you wish." Zhang Baozong didn't seem to mind. Zhang Baozong naturally knew about Sun Simiao's disciple, Lu Xinwei. Although his medical skills weren't bad, Zhang Baozong believed that he could crush him in the art of medicine. Chinese medicine was extensive and profound, and it relied on the accumulation of experience. Especially in the Tang dynasty, Chinese medicine did not have a strong theoretical system. Most of the time, doctors still relied on their own years of experience. This was also known as experimental medicine. Zhang Baozong was 70 years old this year. He had seen patients all his life, so his medical experience was naturally rich. Moreover, he was from a medical family. Through several generations of medical practice, he had summed up many effective treatment plans and secret prescriptions. This was also the reason why Zhang Baozong dared to challenge Sun Simiao. Although Sun Simiao was older, he might not have been practicing medicine longer than Zhang Baozong. After all, Sun Simiao was only from an ordinary farmer's family and did not have any family inheritance. He started practicing medicine at the age of 18 and started treating his neighbors in his 20s. He had been practicing medicine for more than 60 years. Zhang Baozong, on the other hand, started from the beginning. He memorized all kinds of medical books and the names of medicinal herbs. When he was 12 or 13 years old, he had already started to treat patients. Until now, he had been practicing medicine for more than 60 years. That was why Zhang Baozong was confident that his medical skills were not weaker than Sun Simiao's. In fact, he might even be stronger than Sun Simiao because he had his family's inheritance to rely on. As for Lu Xinwei, although he was the Imperial Physician of the Medicine Bureau, he was only in his 40s and had only been practicing medicine for less than 10 years. As for Li Wangyu, Zhang Baozong did not place him in his heart. Even if the rumors were amazing, and even if Li Wangyu started learning medicine in his mother's womb, Zhang Baozong did not feel that Li Wangyu had any profound medical skills. Actually, Zhang Baozong wasn't wrong about this. Li Wangyu naturally didn't know any medical skills. The reason why he dared to challenge Zhang Baozong was because he was relying on surgery, alcohol, and penicillin. If it wasn't for Sun Simiao coming up with penicillin, Li Wangyu would have no choice but to keep his mouth shut and ignore Zhang Baozong. But since he had a miracle medicine like penicillin, Li Wangyu would feel sorry for his identity as a transmigrator if he did not show off. It wasn't that penicillin could cure all diseases, but with the miraculous effects of penicillin and Lu Xinwei's medical skills, Li Wangyu didn't believe that he couldn't win against Zhang Baozong. It wasn't that TCM wasn't advanced or brilliant. At least in this era, TCM was far more advanced than any other medicine in the world. It was only in modern times that Western medicine developed along with anatomy, pathology, and pharmaceutics. In the 20th century, it was closely combined with modern science and technology. With the birth of systematic medicine, it developed into modern medicine. Even so, TCM didn't disappear. On the contrary, it continued to develop after introducing modern medical concepts. From this, one could see the greatness of Chinese civilization. As the saying went, TCM treated the root and Western medicine treated the symptoms. Naturally, TCM had its own unique points. But penicillin was a modern medicine that could directly destroy the cell walls of bacteria. Its effects weren't something that Tang dynasty medicine could compare to. After all, the Tang people didn't even know what bacteria were. It was unrealistic to expect TCM to be able to quickly kill bacteria and reduce inflammation. Li Wangyou's eyes darted around before he said, "But if that's all there is to this competition, then it's meaningless. Why don't we increase the stakes? If Brother Shenwei and I lose, I'll kowtow to Mr. Baozong in front of all the officials and give you 10,000 taels of gold as compensation. But if Mr. Baozong loses..." His conditions naturally made Zhang Baozong raise his eyebrows. Whether it was 10,000 taels of gold or Li Wangyou kowtowing in front of everyone, it was very tempting to him. Zhang Baozong subconsciously asked, "What if I lose?" If Mr. Baozong loses, you'll kowtow to Old Immortal Sun and take him as your master. You'll serve Old Immortal Sun in the Xianwei Temple. How about it? Mr. Baozong, do you dare to make a bet?" Li Wangyou's words made Zhang Baozong's teeth ache. He was already 70 years old and had countless disciples and grand-disciples behind him. Asking him to take Sun Simiao as his master? He couldn't bring himself to do that. Seeing Zhang Baozong remain silent for a long time, Li Wangyou couldn't help but chuckle. "What? Does Mr. Baozong not have the confidence to win against Brother Shenwei and me? If that's the case, then let's just forget about this medical competition." "Humph, County Count who? You don't need to use words to provoke me. I've lived for more than 70 years and have walked more bridges than you have roads. It's not up to a junior like you to tell me what to do. Since County Count who insists on giving this old man tens of thousands of taels of gold, how could this old man not agree? All right, we'll do as County Count who says. If I lose, I'll take Daoist Sun as my master." Seeing that Zhang Baozong had actually agreed to his conditions, Li Wangyou's smile grew even wider. "That's good. Then let's write down the terms of the bet so that no one will regret it in the future. That's how it should be. County Count who? You should prepare the gold early." Zhang Baozong didn't back down. Under Sun Simiao's witness, both sides wrote down the terms of the bet, signed their signatures, and slapped their palms together to swear an oath. They agreed to compete in the Imperial Medical Department in Chong, and 3 days later. Chapter 581. After Zhang Baozong left, supported by several disciples, Sun Simiao couldn't help but frown as he looked at Li Wangyou. "Zio, why do you have to do this? Even I might not be able to beat Mr. Baozong with his medical skills, let alone Shenwei. How did you and Shenwei beat Mr. Baozong?" Li Wangyou chuckled and said, "Didn't you lend me the courage, Old Immortal Sun?" Sun Simiao was confused. "What does this have to do with me?" If it weren't for you, Old Immortal Sun, how would I dare to make such a bet?" "Oh, Zio, you're so confident in this penicillin? It hasn't been used on patients yet." Sun Simiao still felt that this was inappropriate. Li Wangyou could only shrug. The Tang dynasty didn't have the conditions for pharmacological experiments, so there was nothing to say. They could just do clinical experiments. Anyway, it couldn't be too bad. Just like when Niu Yong was injured. If he didn't have the cephalosporin, wouldn't he have to watch Niu Yong die from inflammation? Besides, there was a penicillin skin test, which could effectively prevent the patient from going into anaphylactic shock. "Old Immortal Sun, don't worry. I know how to use this penicillin. I'll go to Chang'an first and tell you the details when I come back." Li Wangyou didn't have time to talk to Sun Simiao. He just asked Sun Simiao to prepare the penicillin for him. He had to go to Chang'an immediately and find the craftsman to make the needles. Without the syringe, even the penicillin would be useless. After all, the penicillin produced by Sun Simiao was a medicine, not a pill that could be taken orally. There was no other way except for intramuscular injection. After leaving the Xianwei Temple, Li Wangyou led Niu Wu and a few troops straight to Chang'an. He was now familiar with the Xianwei Temple. The officials and craftsmen in the Xianwei Temple naturally knew that County Count who was here to make something new. Sure enough, when Li Wangyou found the craftsmen and told them his request, all of them were depressed. Who was confident that they could make such a delicate thing?
An old craftsman pondered for a moment and asked, "County Count who? Can this item be made of gold?"
Gold. Making needles? Li Wangyu felt a headache coming on. However, as long as he could make a suitable needle, he didn't care too much.
If it was gold, then so be it.
But, can it be made of gold? Yes, I was thinking that gold is on the soft side. I will first beat the gold into gold foil, then wrap it around the copper wire and beat it into the needle-like shape you need. County Count who? Finally, I will take out the copper wire and form the hollow needle you need. Li Wangyu pondered for a moment. It was feasible, but he asked doubtfully, won't a needle made of pure gold be very soft? Can it pierce into the human body? I'll add silver to it later to strengthen it.
That's good.
Then start forging immediately. You must forge it for me within 3 days. This lord will reward you handsomely. With Li Wangyu's words, the craftsmen nodded and patted their chests, promising that they would make it within 3 days. Now, the craftsmen who were about to become supervisors were all willing to work for Li Wangyu. The biggest reason was that he gave them a lot of rewards. These craftsmen were all registered craftsmen and only had a meager salary every month. As for those craftsmen who helped Li Wangyu was never stingy with his money. He gave the craftsman who helped Li Wangyu polish the microscope lens 100 strings of copper coins as a reward. With such a material incentive, these craftsmen were naturally willing to work hard for Li Wangyu. With the craftsman's guarantee, Li Wangyu was relieved. He ran to the Shangyao bureau and found Lu Shenwei, informing him of today's matter. When Lu Shenwei heard Zhang Baozong speak to his master in such a manner, he was so angry that he stomped his feet and scolded Zhang Baozong for being disrespectful. Zio, I will do my best in the competition with that old thief. I won't let my master be humiliated, Lu Shenwei said and then looked at Li Wangyu with some worry. However, Zio, you are still a bit rash. You shouldn't have made such a bet with that old thief. If you lose, it doesn't matter if I become the imperial physician of the Shangyao Bureau or not. However, you will lose 10,000 taels of gold and even have to kowtow to that old thief. How can you accept that? Hee, brother Shenwei, that's why you have to win. Li Wangyu smiled. Lu Shenwei couldn't help but be a bit surprised. Zio, although I am confident in my medical skills, that old thief has been practicing medicine his entire life. His medical skills aren't inferior to my master's. I'm afraid. Li Wangyu's smile became even more brilliant. Brother Shenwei, do you remember why old immortal Sun went to Dingzhou village to build a microscope? Lu Shenwei didn't understand what he meant, but he still nodded. Naturally, it's to study your microscope. Zio, the microscope you made for your master is really good. Hee, when will you make one for me? Li Wangyu was speechless. This guy was still thinking about the microscope? He rolled his eyes. Other than the microscope? Other than the microscope? Then it's penicillin. In order to create the penicillin you mentioned, my master spent a lot of effort. Now, Lu Shenwei suddenly understood. He widened his eyes in disbelief. Zio, you mean my master has developed penicillin? Haha, that's right. Li Wangyu pretended to pull out the folding fan at his waist. With a swoosh, he opened it and made it look like a feather fan. Otherwise, how would I go and bet with that Baozong on medical skills? It's not like you don't know my skills. How would I know any medical skills? However, with this penicillin and Brother Shenwei's medical skills, that Baozong will definitely suffer a great loss. Lu Shenwei nodded excitedly. If that penicillin really has the effect you mentioned, then that old thief, Zhang Baozong, will definitely suffer. He suddenly thought of something and looked at Li Wangyu in confusion. Zio, why do you want that old thief to become the master's disciple if he loses? Wouldn't that be letting that old thief off easy? I have my own reasons for this. Anyway, it's not a bad thing. Moreover, although this Zhang Baozong is a little narrow-minded, his medical skills are quite good. If he becomes the master of old immortal Sun, it won't be a disgrace to him. The reason why Li Wangyu proposed the condition of becoming Sun Simiao's disciple to Zhang Baozong was naturally not to humiliate him. Instead, it was because he had his eyes on Zhang Baozong's disciples. Every time Li Wangyu saw Niu Yong's single arm and the old soldiers in Dingzhou village who were crippled, he felt his heart ache. Since ancient times, the so-called military doctors in Huaxia were unreliable existences. More than half of the old soldiers' disabilities were caused by quacks. However, Li Wangyu knew that Pai Lupi would continue to send soldiers to the outside world in the future. He could not stop this, nor could he stop it. Therefore, he wanted to do something for the soldiers who were fighting for the Tang dynasty. Surgery, alcohol, and penicillin were all good medical skills and medicines that could save the lives of countless soldiers. However, no matter how good the medical skills and medicines were, they still needed people to carry them out. The Tang dynasty was not like the modern era where there were enough medical personnel. Therefore, besides thinking about Sun Simiao's disciples, Li Wangyu also thought about Zhang Baozhang's disciples. As long as Zhang Baozhang kowtowed and became his disciple, wouldn't his disciples and grand-disciples all be brought in by Li Wangyu? However, Li Wangyu naturally would not tell Lu Shenwei about this. Lu Shenwei did not think too much about it. After confirming that he would compete with Zhang Baozhang 3 days later, he simply took a leave of absence from the Shangyao Bureau and ran back to Dingzhou village with Li Wangyu to consult his master, Sun Simiao, and sharpen his spear before the battle. 3 days passed quickly, and the day of the duel had arrived. Chapter 582. The Imperial Medical Department of the Tang Dynasty was not only a hospital that treated the officials, but it was also the earliest and largest medical school in the history of the world. It had both medical treatment and teaching. During the Tang Dynasty, the Imperial Medical Department had more than 300 teachers and students. The head of the Imperial Medical Department was the Imperial Medical Officer, and the deputy was the Imperial Medical Assistant. Under them were the doctors, teaching assistants, teachers, and workers. The Imperial Medical Department had 2 departments, medicine and pharmacy. Under the medical department, there were 4 departments: medicine, acupuncture, massage, and curses. The medicine department naturally taught medical skills. Needless to say, acupuncture and massage were taught, and massage techniques were taught. What made Li Wangyu the most speechless was the curses department. Only a ghost would know what curses were used for. What was even more unexpected was that even the king of medicine, Sun Simiao, actually thought that the forbidden spell, the body of the forbidden spell, is mysterious, and it is unreasonable to talk about it in detail. Therefore it cannot be deduced. But if it is executed according to the method, the effect will be shown. Well, who asked the medicine king Sun Simiao to be a Taoist? It was reasonable for him to believe in these supernatural things. However, Li Wangyu swore that if he ever got sick in the future, and anyone tried to cure him with some bullshit curse, he would definitely throw that person out. After the Imperial Medical Department's Imperial Medical Officer received Zhang Baozhang's notice, he was ecstatic and immediately expressed his full cooperation. His only request was to allow the medical department's teachers and students to watch the competition between Zhang Baozhang, Li Wangyu, and Lu Shenwei. Zhang Baozhang naturally nodded in agreement. He originally wanted to come to Chang'an City to rebuild the Zhang family's medical reputation and eliminate the negative influence brought by his disciple, Gung Hong. As for Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei, they naturally did not have any reason to refuse. On the day of the competition, the close to 200 teachers and students of the Imperial Physician Department had already left the Imperial Physician Department early to welcome the arrival of Zhang Baozhang, Li Wangyu, and Lu Shenwei. Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei led Niu Wu and a group of troops to the Taichung Temple's Imperial Physician Bureau. When they saw this scene, Li Wangyu couldn't help but be stunned. The only thing missing was holding fresh flowers and shouting, "Welcome, welcome, a warm welcome." Weren't these imperial physicians and medical students a little too enthusiastic? How could he know that not to mention a godly doctor like Zhang Baozhang, even Lu Shenwei, who was now the imperial physician of the Shangyao Bureau, was considered a great doctor in the eyes of the Imperial Physician Order and the medical students and teachers. To be able to watch such a doctor treat patients for 10 days was an absolutely rare opportunity, so they naturally cherished it. When Zhang Baozhang led a few disciples over, the group of teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department became even more enthusiastic. They clustered around Zhang Baozhang and walked into the Imperial Medical Department. "Mr. Treasure, I have already informed the patients' families to come to the Imperial Medical Department for consultations starting today. How does Mr. Treasure plan to compete with Count Huxian and Lu Fengyu?" The imperial physician asked politely. Zhang Baozhang arrogantly looked at Li Wangyu. Count Hu, you can speak." "I don't care." Li Wangyu smiled and said, "It's simple. Since it's a competition, then the patients' families will naturally come in. We will examine them one by one and write out a prescription. The patients can choose whose prescription they want to use. In short, whoever cures the most patients in 10 days will win. How about it? Does Mr. Treasure have any objections? Sure. Li Wangyou's smile became even more brilliant. Since it's like this, then let's begin. Mr. Treasure is the elder. As the saying goes, the elder goes first, and the younger comes later. Mr. Treasure will examine the patients first, and Brother Shenwei and I will examine them later. Zhang Baozong naturally had no objections. He led the way to the Imperial Medical Department's main hall. In the large main hall, Zhang Baozong, Li Wangyu, and Lu Shenwei sat on the left and right, waiting for the patients to come in for consultation. As for the 200 or so teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department, they filled the originally spacious main hall to the brim. It was very lively. Imperial Physician Order. Please invite the patients in. Zhang Baozong greeted after sitting down. Immediately, a doctor from the Imperial Medical Department trotted out to invite the patients in for consultation. Li Wangyu found it very interesting that the medical students of the Imperial Medical Department were called doctors. These patients were all notified in advance by the Imperial Medical Department to come for consultation today. Most of them were patients who came to the Imperial Medical Department to seek treatment and medicine, but the Imperial Medical Department was helpless to treat them. The Imperial Medical Department was not open to the citizens of Chong and City. Those who could come for consultation were the officials of the Imperial Court and their relatives, the generals of the Imperial Army, and the officials of the Yamen. The first patient was invited in by a doctor from the Imperial Medical Department. It was a lieutenant of the Right Imperial Army. The lieutenant's face was ashen. After bowing to Zhang Baozong, he sat in front of a few tables. Zhang Baozong extended 2 fingers and placed them on the lieutenant's pulse. However, his brows quickly furrowed. He asked about the lieutenant's condition and shook his head helplessly in the end. Sigh, this is a dirty disease. There's no medicine that can cure this disease. This old man wants to help, but there's nothing I can do. Zhang Baozong's words made the surrounding teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department shake their heads. Seeking prostitutes was the synonym for visiting prostitutes in ancient times. Sexually transmitted diseases in ancient times were also collectively known as prostitutes. It was rumored that Hua Tuo could cure this disease. It was even rumored that Hua Tuo could revive those who have fallen off. This was impossible. Unless Hua Tuo was a doctor from the future and used cloning technology to achieve this. In short, other than the legendary Hua Tuo who could cure prostitutes, there was no medicine that could cure this disease in ancient times. In fact, the lieutenant had already sought out various doctors. Whether it was the Imperial Medical Department or the Luoyuan medical workers in the streets, he had received the same answer. Today, he had also heard that Zhang Baozong was coming to the Imperial Medical Department to treat patients. Thus, he came to give it a try with a sliver of hope. Hearing Zhang Baozong's words, the lieutenant's face became even more ashen. He stood up silently, bowed to Zhang Baozong, and prepared to leave. Wait, Lieutenant, why don't you come to Lu Fengyu for treatment? When Li Wangyu saw that the lieutenant was about to leave, he hurriedly called out to him. When the lieutenant heard this, he couldn't help but reveal a pleasantly surprised expression. May I ask if Lu Fengyu can cure this disease? Before Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei could speak, Zhang Baozong couldn't help but sneer. Haha, this old man has practiced medicine for more than 60 years, but I've never heard of this disease being cured. County Count, why do you have to be so stubborn and let this patient's family have hope and then be disappointed? This isn't something the School of Medicine does. Zhang Baozong's words made the Imperial Medical Department's Imperial Physician Order, as well as the teachers and students, nod inwardly. They felt that he was right. As the School of Medicine, a wise man once said, as long as one is a doctor, one must be gentle and elegant by nature, humble and courteous by action, gentle by action, not arrogant and not pretentious. Since they knew that this disease couldn't be cured, they naturally shouldn't let the patient's family have hope and then be disappointed. This was truly immoral. However, Li Wangyu chuckled and said, Sir Baozong, if you can't cure it, how do you know that Lu Fengyu can't? Don't make a fool of yourself because the disease is small, and don't shrink back because the disease is serious. When Sir Baozong heard that it was a disease of the School of Medicine, he shook his head and sighed. This isn't something the School of Medicine does either. His words left Zhang Baozong speechless. He could only coldly snort. Humph, County Count Hu, you have a sharp tongue. This old man wants to see how you and Lu Fengyu will cure this disease of the School of Medicine. Chapter 583. In response to Zhang Baozong's words, Li Wangyu was too lazy to even lift his eyelids. He waved his hand at the military officer. The military officer held on to a trace of hope as he walked towards Li Wangyu and Lu Xinwei. He bowed and said, "Lu Fengyu, please diagnose me." Lu Xinwei gestured for him to sit down and took his pulse. After a round of diagnosis, he nodded his head and said, "There's no mistake. It's indeed a venereal disease." Lu Xinwei's words made the military officer's face turn even uglier. He silently stood up and cupped his hands towards the two of them before preparing to leave. Li Wangyu asked curiously, "Where are you going? Are you not going to treat this disease?" "What? County Count who? What did you just say?" The military officer, who was just about to leave, was stunned by Li Wangyu's words. He turned his head in disbelief and asked, My disease can still be treated?" "Yes." Li Wangyu nodded his head with certainty. Wasn't it just venereal disease? There was no syphilis in China in this era. It was probably gonorrhea, and penicillin was the cure. Li Wangyu was even secretly delighted. What a coincidence! He had encountered such a good start. Venereal disease was an incurable disease in ancient times, but an antibiotic like penicillin was the cure for it. Even Lu Xinwei was taken aback by his words. He moved closer to Li Wangyu's ear and whispered, "Zio, you're not joking? Can penicillin really cure venereal disease?" "Brother Xinwei, don't worry. Naturally it can. I guarantee it." When Lu Xinwei heard this, his face also lit up with joy. However, Li Wangyu's words had caused an uproar in the Imperial Physician Department's hall. Over 200 teachers and students of the Imperial Physician Department were all whispering to each other as they discussed spiritedly. "Doctor, may I ask if there's any precedent for what County Count who said about curing venereal disease?" "Sigh, apart from the rumors of divine physician Hua Tuo's medical skills, I've never heard of anyone curing venereal disease." County Count whose words. The doctor didn't continue speaking, but he kept shaking his head to show his attitude. He clearly didn't believe Li Wangyu. "That's right. We've also read many medical books, but have we ever heard of this flower being able to cure anything?" "I'm afraid that County Count whose words aren't true. Even Mr. Treasure said that flower willow could not be cured. Could it be that Lu Fengyu's medical skills are better than Mr. Treasure's? It's hard to say. Could it be that Lu Fengyu has the 15 lost secret prescriptions of Hua Tua? Lu Fengyu's teacher is Sun Simiao, Sun Daoist. But it's not impossible." The words of the Imperial Medical Department's teachers and students naturally entered the ears of the lieutenant, causing the pleasant surprise that had just appeared on his face to suddenly freeze. Zhang Baozong was so agitated by Li Wangyu's words that he stood up abruptly. Ridiculous! It was ridiculous! How could such a disease be cured? County Count who? How dare you speak such nonsense? His words caused the lieutenant to lose his soul. He turned around and was about to leave. Li Wangyu completely ignored the questioning voices of the crowd. He pretended that he hadn't heard Zhang Baozong's words. He smiled at the lieutenant, revealing 8 spotlessly white teeth. "If this lord says it can be cured, then it can be cured. Do you believe what they say and prepare to go back and wait for death, or do you prepare to have Lu Fengyu treat you? Choose for yourself." The lieutenant naturally didn't believe Li Wangyu's words. But who would be willing to wait for death? Even if there was only a 1% chance, he still hoped that his illness could be cured. The lieutenant directly knelt down in front of Lu Xinwei and Li Wangyu. "I'll treat it. I'll treat it. Lu Fengyu, please treat me." Li Wangyu laughed loudly. "No need to be so courteous. Get up. Lu Fengyu can treat you right now." Yes. Lu Fengyu, please give me medicine and write a prescription for me." Li Wangyu waved his hand. "There's no need to take medicine. A few injections will be enough." The lieutenant and everyone in the Imperial Medical Department were dumbfounded. A few injections? What did that mean? Could it be acupuncture? Could this be used to treat a willow disease? Zhang Baozong's face was filled with disdain. Preposterous. Acupuncture can treat a willow disease? That's nonsense. Imperial Medical Officer. You're also a medical student. Have you heard of this before? The Imperial Medical Officer slowly shook his head. This kind of thing, even in ancient books and legends, had never been heard of. It was rumored that Hua Tuo could treat a willow disease. He had 15 secret prescriptions, but it wasn't something that could be cured with acupuncture. Under everyone's astonished gaze, they saw Lu Xinwei take out a bamboo tube and put a golden needle on it. Come, let's do a skin test first. Let's see if you can get an injection. Li Wangyu indicated for the lieutenant to roll up his sleeves. After that, he let Lu Xinwei use alcohol to disinfect his arm. Then, he inserted the needle into the lieutenant's forearm and injected a small amount of penicillin. Before the appearance of cephalosporin, China's hospitals had to do a skin test before injecting penicillin. The purpose was to prevent the patient from going into anaphylactic shock. The reason why a skin test was required was because China's medical standards weren't high back then. The purity of the penicillin wasn't high, and the quality wasn't pure enough. At that time, the penicillin imported from the West didn't require a skin test. But now, Sun Simiao used a local method to make penicillin, so there was no need to talk about the purity. Who knew how many problems would occur if the lieutenant injected penicillin without a skin test? After Lu Xinwei pulled out the needle, the lieutenant and everyone else were confused. They had never heard of such a treatment method. The imperial medical officer walked over and bowed to Li Wangyu. "May I ask what you're doing?" "I'm giving him a skin test." What's a skin test?" "Haha, to treat a willow disease, you have to inject penicillin, a divine medicine developed by Sun Daozhong. Old immortal Sunday penicillin is a divine medicine that's worth more than gold. However, penicillin also has side effects. Not everyone can bear its medicinal power. Therefore, we have to do a skin test on the wrist and inner arm first. Only those who don't have a reaction can continue to inject penicillin." The imperial medical officer was confused. He didn't understand what side effects were, but he roughly understood the meaning. It was probably the meaning of medicine is 30% poison. As for penicillin, he had never heard of such a strange name. But after hearing Li Wangyu's words, he was even more interested. He quickly asked, "May I know what diseases Sun Daozhong's penicillin can cure?" "Diarrhea, lower blood pressure, various blood diseases, coughing, cold attacking the lungs, wind and heat attacking the lungs, turbid phlegm blocking the lungs, willow disease, 7-day wind. These diseases can all be cured by penicillin." Li Wangyu recited a lot of diseases, which made the imperial medical officer and everyone else dumbfounded. The diseases he mentioned were pneumonia, septicemia, and the like in the Tang dynasty. In order to know the names of these diseases, he asked Lu Xinwei for a long time before he finally understood the names of the diseases in the Tang dynasty. As for why he knew that these diseases could be cured, wasn't it because of the box of cephalosporin that was already eaten by his beautiful superior? Although the cephalosporin was eaten, he didn't throw away the packaging and instructions. The effects of penicillin and cephalosporin were roughly the same. He confirmed the diseases that penicillin could cure according to the instructions of cephalosporin. Li Wangyu's words made more than 200 teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department look at each other in dismay. They didn't know what to say. If penicillin could cure so many diseases, it was really a divine medicine. It should be worth more than gold. But could such a medicine really exist? Could this be a miraculous elixir bestowed by the gods? Chapter 584. Actually, in the Tang dynasty, giving patients a skin test was also a risky thing to do. Not to mention the crude self-made penicillin, even in the later generations of Huaxia, there were patients who died from anaphylactic shock when medical conditions were not perfect. And among those patients who died, 25% of them died from shock during the skin test. Of course, compared to the patients saved by penicillin, this side effect was negligible. In the Tang dynasty, many diseases did not have penicillin, and the mortality rate was 100%. This was also the reason why Li Wangyu dared to directly use penicillin to treat patients. Since he would be waiting for death if he did not use penicillin, he might as well take a gamble and have a high chance of survival. After giving the lieutenant the skin test, Li Wangyu was also a bit nervous. This was the first time penicillin was used, and no one knew what would happen. Although anaphylactic shock or even death were rare, it was a small probability event. But if it really happened, there was nothing they could do, and they could only watch the lieutenant die. After all, if the patient in the later generations went into anaphylactic shock, they could be injected with epinephrine for emergency treatment. But in the Tang dynasty, there was no such thing as epinephrine. If something really happened, there was nothing they could do, and they could only watch. Fortunately, after a quarter of an hour, there was no reaction at the inner part of the lieutenant's arm where the skin test was carried out. This meant that the skin test was negative, and the injection could be carried out. If there was a bulge, red flush, or lump, it was a positive reaction, and the injection of penicillin could not be carried out. Li Wangyu carefully looked at the lieutenant's arm and nodded to Lu Shenwei. "Brother Shenwei, it's negative, and the injection can be carried out." He had already taught Lu Shenwei the common knowledge of injecting penicillin. Lu Shenwei nodded and took out the bamboo syringe again, preparing to inject the drug. "Come here, take off your pants, reveal your buttocks, and sit sideways on this stool." Lu Shenwei's words made the lieutenant dumbfounded. Was he really treating a patient? He even thought that there were some homosexual men in the military. Although he was not a homosexual, he had a rough idea. Hearing Lu Shenwei's words, the lieutenant not only did he not untie his pants, he even tightened his grip on his pants and looked at Lu Shenwei with vigilance. Lu Fengyu, I have to take off my pants to treat a patient?" Not only the lieutenant, but also the 200 teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department in the hall were dumbfounded, and Zhang Baozong was also confused. To treat a patient to take off his pants? Who had seen such a thing? But even if Lu Fengyu was gay, he wouldn't go so far as to display it in front of these 200 people, right? Lu Shenwei still hadn't realized what the captain and everyone else's gazes meant. Seeing the captain dilly-dallying, he impatiently shouted, "Hurry up, what are you dawdling for? Do you still want to treat the patient?" Lu Shenwei, Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei, to Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei. Lu Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei, Lu, Shenwei, were, Shenwei, and Lu, Lu. Shenwei. Although they were all men, the lieutenant's face immediately turned green when he exposed his butt to hundreds of people. But as a patient, he did not have any human rights to speak of, so he could only endure and close his eyes, pretending that he did not know anything. Naturally, only Lu Shenwei was responsible for giving injections to the patient. Of course, Li Wangyu was the one who taught Lu Shenwei how to give injections. Actually, how could Li Wangyu know anything about it? At most, he knew that he had to empty the air in the syringe before injecting. He was not a medical student. His so-called injection experience was only the experience of going to the hospital and being injected with needles and seeing how the young nurses operated. Li Wangyu did not care too much. He roughly explained how to inject the medicine into the patient, then asked Niu Wu to catch a pig and let Lu Shenwei experiment on it himself. Lu Shenwei was helpless against Li Wangyu's unreliable teaching method. But he could only follow Li Wangyu's instructions and continuously insert needles into the pig's butt. Today, Lu Shenwei was like a duck being driven onto a perch. It was his first time using needles on a living person. If the lieutenant knew that Lu Fengyu had only injected a pig's butt before, would he immediately jump up and run away? If it was the future, Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei's unreliable medical practice method would definitely be arrested and charged with illegal medical practice. But fortunately, it was 1,300 years ago. Not only did no one find trouble with them, but the teachers and students of the Tang dynasty's highest medical school were also watching Lu Shenwei's every move with eyes full of curiosity. Lu Shenwei wiped the lieutenant's butt with alcohol and did not hesitate to insert the syringe into the lieutenant's body. He crudely pressed the syringe and injected the medicine into the lieutenant's body. Even though the lieutenant was a man who had been through a mountain of swords and a sea of blood and didn't even frown when he was stabbed, he still cried out in pain. Beads of sweat immediately dripped down from his forehead. Li Wangyu watched Lu Shenwei's operation from the side and also broke out in cold sweat. If I get sick in the future, I will definitely not let this guy give me injections. It's really too scary. In the future, the nurses were very gentle when giving injections. Even the skilled nurses did not feel anything when giving injections. But Lu Shenwei's actions were so fierce that it was as if he had killed the lieutenant's father. It was too scary. Inside the bamboo syringe, Lu Shenwei pushed the medicine all the way to the bottom. Then, he heroically pulled out the golden needle. Li Wangyu dared to swear that the lieutenant's butt was bleeding from the place where the needle had been inserted. Lu Shenwei followed Li Wangyu's instructions and took out the golden needle. He then threw it into alcohol to soak and disinfect it. There was no other way. In 3 days, The supervising craftsman had only made 3 golden needles. Moreover, this was made of gold. It was impossible to use it as a one-time use, right? He could only use it repeatedly after disinfecting it. As for the bamboo syringe, this thing was not rare. Lu Shenwei casually threw it to the side. All right, come back tomorrow at this time. Inject penicillin for a few days and your flower will be fine. But remember, before you recover, you are not allowed to sleep together. Also, don't go to those brothels in the future. Lu Shenwei bluntly lectured him. The lieutenant naturally nodded. After thanking Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei again and again, he limped out of the door. He had no choice but to limp. His butt was really too painful. After the lieutenant left, the group of students from the Imperial Medical Department immediately turned on their curious baby mode and continuously threw out all kinds of questions. Lu Fengyu, that's it? He doesn't need to take medicine anymore? Is this penicillin so magical? It can cure a flower in just a few days? Lu Fengyu, may I ask what this bamboo syringe is? Lu Fengyu. Facing this situation, Zhang Baozong's face was as calm as water. He only coldly snorted, "Humph, you don't know what you're talking about. You actually believe such nonsense? This old man doesn't believe that penicillin has such an effect. That injection is even more inexplicable. When did such a treatment method appear in the medical records?" Li Wangyu was too lazy to refute. Whether it was useful or not, they would know in a few days. After a long time, Zhang Baozong was finally dissatisfied and ordered the Imperial Medical Department to invite the next patient in for examination. Chapter 585. The next person to enter was an old man. Li Wangyu didn't recognize him, but from his robes, he could tell that he was a 6th-rank official from the Tang dynasty. Zhang Baozong checked the old man's pulse and confirmed that he had a disharmony in his spleen and stomach. It was dysentery. Zhang Baozong twirled his beard and smiled. Your illness is dysentery, but it's not hard to treat. You just need to take the milk decoction and you'll be fine. The old man thanked him again and again, but dysentery was not easy to treat. At the very least, many of the doctors in the Imperial Physician Bureau were unable to treat this illness. That was why he hurried over when he heard that Zhang Baozong and Lu Fengyu were in the Imperial Physician Bureau. Seeing that Zhang Baozong could treat it, he was overjoyed and asked Zhang Baozong to write a prescription for him. Zhang Baozong was not in a hurry. He twirled his beard and smiled. There's no rush. Today, I'm competing with Lu Fengyu and Count Huxian. You should ask Lu Fengyu to treat you again. The old man could only listen to Zhang Baozong and ask Lu Shenwei to treat him again. Dysentery was not something that could be cured by penicillin. However, Lu Shenwei was not a quack. As Sun Simiao's eldest disciple, dysentery was not a problem for him. However, as mentioned before, there was only one patient. It was up to the patient to decide who would treat him. The old man hesitated for a moment before bowing apologetically to Lu Shenwei and Li Wangyu. He still asked Zhang Baozong to write down a prescription for him. It wasn't that he didn't trust Lu Shenwei, but that he trusted Zhang Baozong more. Although Lu Shenwei was a doctor of the Imperial Physician Bureau, Zhang Baozong was famous for being a divine doctor. His disciple, Gung Hong, was also a doctor of the Imperial Physician Bureau. Secondly, in the profession of doctors, especially traditional Chinese medicine, the older they were, the more popular they were. Even in the future, patients were still more willing to find an old Chinese doctor to treat them. In response, Li Wangyu could only shrug his shoulders helplessly and decline to comment. After sending off the grateful old man, Zhang Baozong twirled his beard in satisfaction. The teachers and students of the Imperial Physician Bureau were all busy writing down Zhang Baozong's prescription. What Li Wangyu didn't expect was that the following day would be the same. All of the patients chose to have Zhang Baozong examine them. This caused Zhang Baozong's expression to become even more complacent, while Lu Shenwei could do nothing about it. Zio, your idea is not reliable. All the patients have gone to that old bastard for treatment. If this goes on, the two of us will definitely lose in 10 days. Li Wangyu was also depressed. He really didn't expect this. He didn't expect that even though he had created a dragon saber like penicillin, it would be useless. Those patients would rather go to that old man Zhang Baozong for treatment than have Lu Shenwei treat them. Even if there were some patients who could recover in a day or two after injecting penicillin, no matter how much Li Wangyu tried to persuade them, it was useless. Li Wangyu was overconfident because he had penicillin in his hands. If he had known earlier, he would have treated one patient each with Zhang Baozong. Then, he would not have ended up in the situation where there were no patients coming for consultation. For an entire day, he and Lu Shenwei could only watch as the patients ran to the old man Zhang Baokang to seek medical treatment. Even the teachers and students of the Imperial Physician Department gathered behind Zhang Baozong with pen and paper in hand. They earnestly took notes, afraid that they would miss the opportunity to learn from a famous doctor. It wasn't until the evening drum sounded and everyone prepared to disperse that Zhang Baozong stood up with the help of his disciples. After all, he was an old man in his 70s. When had he ever seen so many patients in a single day? The old man was quite tired. However, even if his body was tired, Zhang Baozong's mood was quite cheerful. He looked at Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei and didn't forget to ridicule them. How are the results of County Count Hu and Lu Fengyu today? Oh, I forgot that the two of you only saw one patient today. Haha, this is quite interesting. Even a flower can be treated. I'm looking forward to that lieutenant's recovery. With regards to Zhang Baozong's mocking words, it was rare for Li Wangyu to not reply back. He only indifferently glanced at the smug old man, then pulled the indignant Lu Shenwei and quickly left. Now that the situation was better than the person, there was no point in saying those words. It would only add to the ridicule. Li Wangyu could only pray that tomorrow's patients wouldn't be so deceitful. In any case, he and Lu Shenwei would at least have a chance to perform. Who knew that the situation would be the same the next day? The only exception was when the lieutenant came for an injection, which attracted the attention of the teachers and students of the Imperial Physician Department. At other times, there was practically no one around Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei. Those patients who couldn't be cured by the Imperial Physician Department all came because of Zhang Baozong's reputation. Even if there were illnesses that Zhang Baozong couldn't treat, Lu Shenwei couldn't do anything either. Most of these were chronic diseases of the elderly. Li Wangyu, who had penicillin in his hands, could only sigh in helplessness. After all, penicillin was only an antibiotic. It wasn't a miraculous medicine or an immortal treasure that could cure all diseases. For those chronic diseases of the elderly, penicillin really didn't have any effect. Another day passed, and Lu Shenwei was a bit better than the day before. At least 2 or 3 more patients still believed in Feng Yu's reputation and asked Lu Shenwei to treat them. On Zhang Baozong's side, there were another dozen or so patients seeking medical treatment. Not to mention the number of people who were ultimately cured. Just the number of patients Zhang Baozong had seen was 30 or 40. On the other hand, Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei's side only had 3 or 4 people. This naturally made Zhang Baozong smile even more proudly. Before leaving, he didn't forget to ridicule Li Wangyu. County Count Huxian, don't forget about the 10,000 taels of gold. Although I'm not greedy for money, it would be disrespectful to refuse someone who insisted on giving me 10,000 taels of gold. County Count Huxian's family is large, and it's rumored in Chong, and that the County Count Huxian's mansion has mountains of gold and silver. Presumably, losing some gold to me is nothing to County Count Huxian, haha. Lu Shenwei was so angry at the old man's words that he almost wanted to roll up his sleeves, but Li Wangyu pulled him back and said indifferently, Mr. Baozong, have you never heard of it? As the saying goes, winning first doesn't count, winning later is gold. Everything will be clear in 10 days. Li Wangyu appeared very calm, but in his heart, he was extremely anxious. He was already thinking that if the situation was the same tomorrow, he would have to find Cheng Chumo and the others and have them arrange for some patients to come in and treat as medical fraud. Otherwise, if he lost like this, not only would he lose his wife and soldiers, but his original plan would also be ruined. But no one expected that on the 3rd day, when everyone once again gathered in the hall of the Imperial Physician Department to prepare for the day's treatment, a person would suddenly rush in from outside the doors of the Imperial Physician Department. As he ran, he loudly shouted, Godly doctor, you really are a godly doctor in the world. Dao Zhu is in the world, godly doctor. Please accept my bow. This commotion not only attracted the attention of the patients waiting to be treated in the Imperial Medical Department, but also the hundreds of teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department in the main hall who heard the commotion. Chapter 586. The one who shouted godly doctor and ran in was the officer who had been injected with penicillin for 2 days. Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei were also stunned. What did this guy mean by shouting that? Could it be that his disease had been cured? Under everyone's astonished gazes, the officer ran in front of Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei and directly knelt down in front of them. County Count Hu, Lu Shenwei, the two of you are truly godly doctors. I've recovered. I've recovered. I've really recovered. Who said that there was no cure for this disease? Bah, I'll blind his dog eyes. After the officer finished speaking, he turned his head and glared at Zhang Baozong, his eyes full of disdain. Even Li Wangyu was stunned by his words. Sun Simiao's penicillin was so effective? Gonorrhea was cured after 2 days of injections? How could he know that even in the future, patients who had gonorrhea for the first time would recover after 3 or 4 days of injections of penicillin? And to the people of the Tang dynasty, who had never used antibiotics, the effects of this medicine were immediate. Its effects were completely incomparable to those of the future. When Lu Shenwei heard this, his expression also changed. He quickly pulled the officer over and checked his pulse. He even had the officer untie his belt and take off his pants to check. The teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department were also shocked by the officer's words. Everyone knew that there was no cure for the disease of promiscuity. When Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei said that it could be cured, no one actually believed them. Even though they had seen Lu Shenwei inject the officer twice, they still didn't believe that there was such a thing. As for Li Wangyu's penicillin, they were even more skeptical and felt that it was an exaggeration. The teachers and students of the Imperial Medical Department couldn't be blamed for thinking this way. If a doctor in the future claimed that he had a godly medicine that could cure cancer and that he only needed a few injections, no one would believe him either. Not mocking him like Zhang Baozong was already showing respect to Li Wangyu, the founding uncle of the nation, and to Lu Shenwei, the Minister of Medicine. More than 200 people once again gathered around, surrounding the lieutenant so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Pairs of burning gazes, as if they were studying a rare treasure, were all directed towards the lieutenant's lower body. This time, the lieutenant didn't feel embarrassed. Instead, he acted like a valiant soldier showing off his meritorious service. He proudly revealed his lower body and twirled it left and right to show off to everyone. Li Wangyu was speechless. He couldn't bear to look anymore and quickly turned his head away. However, everyone, including Lu Shenwei and the group of teachers and students from the Imperial Physician Department, was watching very carefully, afraid that they would miss a single detail. Tisk, there's no swelling, it's eroded. The eroded area has already scabbed off and new flesh has grown out. This flower is really cured. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Dr. How do you explain this? Isn't Hua Lu incurable? Perhaps it was a misdiagnosis? This person doesn't have Hua Lu's disease? The doctor from the Imperial Physician Department didn't know how to answer. Impossible. Mr. Baozong and Lu Fengyu both confirmed without a doubt that this person's lower body was red and swollen 2 days ago. If it wasn't Hua Lu's disease, then what was it? Could it be that Mr. Baozong made a misdiagnosis? Mr. Baozong said Hua Lu incurable. This lieutenant only had 2 days, so how did he recover from Hua Lu's disease? Everyone couldn't come up with an answer. They all turned their heads to look at Zhang Baozong. They wanted to see how Zhang Baozong, who had said with certainty that Hua Lu was incurable, would answer. When the lieutenant rushed in, Zhang Baozong naturally heard his words. His heart couldn't help but thump as he felt that things weren't going well. At this moment, he couldn't care less. With the help of his disciples, he stood up, separated the crowd, and squeezed his way to the lieutenant's side. The old man couldn't care about anything else. He pulled the lieutenant's hand over and checked his pulse. After a while, he squatted down and carefully sized up the lieutenant's lower body. How is it? Zhang Baozong, 3 days ago, you kept saying that I was incurable. What else do you have to say now? Quack. The lieutenant's saliva was about to spray onto Zhang Baozong's face. However, although his words were unpleasant, Zhang Baozong had no words to refute. 3 days ago, he was indeed the one who said Hua Lu incurable. He even mocked Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei. If this lieutenant was serious and really beat Zhang Baozong up, others wouldn't be able to say anything. After all, it was fine if you couldn't treat the illness and couldn't cure it, but you even advised the patient to go to other people for treatment. You even mocked and ridiculed him. This was asking for a beating. If it was an ordinary doctor, this lieutenant might really beat him up. It was only because Zhang Baozong was old and was once a minister of the Honglu Temple, a major third-rank official, that he didn't beat him up. Zhang Baozong had nothing to say in the face of this iron-like fact. He still couldn't understand why Hua Lu's disease could be cured. He didn't say anything about the lieutenant's ridicule. He walked back to his seat with the help of his disciples. The teachers and students of the Imperial Physician Bureau were originally skeptical about penicillin, but now that the facts were in front of them, who wouldn't believe it? The lieutenant who had been sentenced to death by Zhang Baozong had miraculously recovered after just 2 injections. The mental impact of this was no less than an atomic bomb explosion. The lieutenant put on his clothes again and repeatedly thanked Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei before walking out of the Imperial Physician Bureau's main hall with his head held high. Everyone, don't believe that old swindler Zhang Baozong. Bah, he's a quack. I accidentally contracted Hua Lu, and that old swindler actually said that I was incurable. In the end, Lu Fengyu and the Count of Huxian gave me 2 injections. In just 2 days, I was completely healed. Lu Fengyu is the divine doctor. Everyone, if you want to go in for treatment, you must open your eyes wide. Don't be fooled by those quacks. The lieutenant shouted at the crowd of patients waiting in the Imperial Physician Bureau, causing the patients and their family members to cry out in alarm. Lang Jun, are you serious? Nonsense, several hundred people in the Imperial Physician Bureau said it with their own eyes. How could it be false? If you don't believe me, you can ask the doctors, workers, and doctors of the Imperial Physician Bureau to see if I'm lying. If I'm lying, let the heavens strike me with 5 bolts of lightning and I'll die a horrible death. Hearing him swear like this, a patient's family immediately asked the doctors and doctors they were familiar with in the Imperial Physician Bureau. The people in the Imperial Physician Bureau naturally replied truthfully. 3 days ago, when this lieutenant had come for treatment, Zhang Baozong and Lu Shenwei had diagnosed him as Hua Lu. Zhang Baozong's claim that he was incurable was also not wrong. As for his complete recovery today, it was even more true. After receiving the testimonies of the doctors and doctors of the Imperial Physician Bureau, the patients waiting for treatment couldn't help but look at each other in dismay. This matter was actually true? Wasn't that Zhang Baozong a famous doctor? Was he also just someone who stole from the world? The lieutenant's words angered Zhang Baozong's disciples to the point that they almost wanted to charge out and fight him to the death. He had repeatedly reprimanded their teacher as an old swindler and a quack. How could they endure this? Zhang Baozong's face was also deathly pale, but he still had a bit of reason left. He firmly held on to his disciples, not allowing them to go out and cause more trouble. This time, he had truly made a mistake. He had never expected that Li Wangyu and Lu Shenwei would be able to cure an illness that no one in the world could. Was that penicillin really a divine medicine? Chapter 587. Due to the disturbance caused by the lieutenant, the patients who came for Zhang Baozong hesitated. Who would want to seek treatment from a quack? Furthermore, there were many teachers and students in the Imperial Physician Bureau as witnesses. Thus, today's consultation was different from the previous 2 days. Although there were still many patients who trusted Zhang Baozong's medical skills, there were more and more patients who turned to Zhang Baozong for consultation under the influence of the lieutenant. They were basically on par with Zhang Baozong. However, these patients were all suffering from ordinary illnesses and didn't need the precious antibiotic penicillin. This made Li Wangyu feel regretful. He couldn't wait to see a few patients on the verge of death so that everyone could witness the miraculous effects of penicillin. However, Li Wangyu could only think about it. How could he choose patients when he was in the consultation room? Naturally, he would treat any patient that came. Even if he was anxious, there was nothing he could do. Just before the drum of dusk sounded, the last patient who came late was carefully helped into the lobby by the doctors of the Imperial Medical Department. When Li Wangyu and the others saw this person, they immediately stood up and greeted him. Even Zhang Baozong, who was in his 70s, quickly stood up and greeted him. The person who came was the honorable physician, Duke Song, Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu was also a legendary figure in the Tang dynasty. He was the 7th son of Xiao Chua, Emperor Liang of the Southern Dynasty, and the younger brother of Empress Xiao of the Sui Dynasty. Xiao Yu was upright and outspoken. After Pai Lupi ascended the throne, he served as the prime minister 6 times and was removed from office 6 times. He was even demoted from his title by the Pai Lupi and exiled from Chang'an City. He was also one of the 24 meritorious officials in the Lingyan Pavilion. Li Wangyu naturally knew such a big shot. When he saw that the old man came to see him, he naturally treated him with respect. At this moment, Xiao Yu was removed from office once again. He had no official position, but everyone still respected him. Speaking of which, Xiao Yu's career was bumpy. In the first year of Zhengguan, Xiao Yu served as the left servant of the minister for the second time and served as the prime minister for the second time. In the end, Xiao Yu was impeached after only 5 months as the prime minister. The reason was that he asked Tang, who was on a diplomatic mission to the Turkic Empire, to bring a letter to his sister, Empress Xiao, who was taking refuge in the Turkic Empire. In the end, this matter was exposed. It was said that Xiao Yu was secretly communicating with the former empress. As a result, the strict and upright Xiao Yu, who refused to tolerate the shortcomings of others, was once again removed from his position by Pai Lupi. Li Wangyu knew that Xiao Yu would soon be revived by Pai Lupi and become the prime minister for the third time. Master Xiao, where are you feeling unwell today? Zhang Baozong went over to greet him politely. Haha, thank you for your trouble, Duke Zhang. This old man has been coughing for the past few days and has symptoms of fever. When I cough, my lungs hurt. Coughing less sputum with traces of blood in the sputum and sore throat. I've been ill for some time now, and I can't recover from it. The doctors from the Medicine Bureau and the Imperial Physician Bureau have already taken a look at me. I've drunk a lot of medicine, but I don't see any improvement. I'll have to trouble Mr. Zhang to treat this old man, Xiao Yu said weakly with an ugly expression. As Xiao Yu explained his condition to Zhang Baozong, he coughed violently. Li Wangyu was afraid that he would cough out his lungs. Zhang Baozong invited Xiao Yu to sit down and carefully checked his pulse. After a while he slowly said, Master Xiao, this cough of yours is caused by an evil wind entering your body, causing your lungs' qi to go up in reverse. It's an illness caused by wind and heat attacking your lungs. This illness is very troublesome and requires meditation. It's hard to recover in a short period of time. This old man will prescribe a bowl of mulberry apricot soup for you later. You can drink it for a few days and see the effects. Li Wangyu only understood half of it. The medical terms of the Tang dynasty were really hard to pronounce. He secretly asked Lu Shenwei, Brother Shenwei, what kind of illness is wind and heat attacking the lungs? It's a type of cough. It's usually accompanied by symptoms of fever and chest pain when coughing. Li Wangyu still didn't understand Lu Shenwei's explanation. However, there would be fever, cough, sputum, and even lung pain. Damn, this can't be pneumonia, right? If it's really pneumonia, then it's simple. Penicillin can treat the illness. He carefully recalled that there was no such thing as pneumonia in Chinese medicine since ancient times. Instead, it was replaced by coughing. Looking at Xiao Yu's symptoms, it should be the pneumonia that Western medicine spoke of. Li Wangyu couldn't help asking Lu Shenwei, is this illness hard to treat? Lu Shenwei bitterly shook his head. It's a troublesome illness caused by wind and heat attacking the lungs. If Master Xiao can't recover, it's easy for him to develop tuberculosis. If that happens, even a deity won't be able to save him. As for Master Zhao's illness, the sage had already ordered me to treat him. I've also prescribed him mulberry apricot soup, but it didn't have any effect. When Li Wangyu heard this, he pondered in his heart. In history, Xiao Yu didn't have a short life. He only died in the 22nd year of Zhengguan. At that time, he was already 74 years old. The old man's pneumonia should be able to be treated, but the process would definitely be painful. Pneumonia wasn't a terminal illness in the Tang dynasty, but it wasn't easy to treat. There were many patients who died from coughing and pneumonia. It seemed that he needed to convince Xiao Yu to receive a penicillin injection. The influence of being able to quickly treat Xiao Yu's illness was much greater than treating a military officer. On the other side, Xiao Yu couldn't help but shake his head after hearing Zhang Baozong's words. I won't hide it from Sir Zhang. Lu Fengyu had already prescribed me mulberry apricot soup, but it didn't improve. That's why I wanted to ask Sir Zhang to treat me today. If it's mulberry apricot soup, then there's no need to trouble Sir Zhang. Mulberry apricot soup had the effect of clearing drains and warming dryness, moistening the lungs, and stopping coughing. It was usually used to treat the illness caused by wind and heat attacking the lungs. Hearing Xiao Yu's words, Zhang Baozong's face wrinkled as he racked his brains. Aside from mulberry apricot soup, what other ancient prescriptions were suitable? Li Wangyu suddenly spoke up and cupped his hands toward Xiao Yu. Master Xiao, Lu Fengyu's teacher, Sun Simiao, has developed a new divine medicine penicillin. It has a miraculous effect on treating the illness caused by wind and heat attacking the lungs. Is what County Count who said true? When Lu Fengyu examined me, he didn't mention this matter. Xiao Yu was naturally interested when he heard Li Wangyou's words. Hee, this medicine was developed by old immortal Sun a few days ago. Oh, that's interesting. Xiao Yu didn't think much of it. Even though he wasn't a doctor, he knew that this medicine had been passed down from his predecessors. After countless attempts and refinements by countless doctors, the prescription had finally been passed down to this day. Although Sun Simiao was known as a divine doctor, Xiao Yu didn't have much confidence in this so-called new medicine that had just been developed. He also didn't want to become a lab rat himself. Seeing Xiao Yu's disinterest, Li Wangyu hurriedly continued. Does Master Xiao not believe in the medicine's effects? 3 days ago, there was a military officer who was infected with a venereal disease. This was an incurable disease. There is no cure, but he only had to inject penicillin for 2 days to recover. This is the miraculous effect of penicillin. If Master Xiao doesn't believe me, you can ask the Imperial Physician Medallion and the various doctors to see if I, Li Wangyu, am lying. His words moved Xiao Yu somewhat. He had naturally heard of the incurable disease and knew that it couldn't be cured. If penicillin could even cure an incurable disease, then it wouldn't be impossible for it to cure his lung disease. Thinking of this, Xiao Yu wanted to nod and try the new medicine. However, Zhang Baozong suddenly said, "Wait." Chapter 588. Wait, County Count who? Old Master Zhao's status is different. How many people have you used this penicillin on? How dare you use it on Old Master Xiao? If something goes wrong, can you bear the responsibility, County Count who? Lu Fengyu, let me ask you, are there any precedents for the illnesses that County Count who says can be cured by penicillin? How many patients have you cured? Zhang Baozong's question was not wrong. Although Xiao Yu had been removed from his position as Prime Minister by Pai Lupi, he was not an ordinary person. Given his status, he could not be treated lightly. Zhang Baozong's words made Lu Shenwei's face turn red. He opened his mouth but no words came out. Although he was not happy with Zhang Baozong, he was a kind and honest person, so he could not lie. For Lu Shenwei to go against his conscience and say that penicillin had saved countless lives, he couldn't say such nonsense. Zhang Baozong was old and experienced. When he saw Lu Shenwei's stammering appearance, how could he not understand? Perhaps this penicillin had never been used on a patient before. Even if it was used to cure that military officer, it might be the first time it was used. His guess was right. It was the first time that penicillin had been used on a patient to treat the lieutenant. Although the effects were surprisingly good, how could he say that penicillin could cure the illnesses that Li Wangyu claimed it could? Li Wangyu felt a bit of a headache when he heard Zhang Baozong's question. If it was a normal patient, he would have dared to pat his chest and say that he could cure them. However, Xiao Yu's status was honorable. How could he make such a promise? There was no proof. However, this was not a problem for Li Wangyu. He was determined to use penicillin to treat Xiao Yu's illness. Haha, Mr. Baozong is indeed experienced and prudent. Your words are not wrong. However, just as Mr. Baozong said, this penicillin has not been used on patients with wind heat disease. However, Li Wangyu purposely paused here. His words caused Xiao Yu, who was full of anticipation, to turn cold. Naturally, he wouldn't be willing to test this new medicine and become a guinea pig. However, when he heard Li Wangyu say, "But," a glimmer of hope appeared in his heart. He hurriedly asked, "County Count who but what?" But it's not hard to prove. Li Wangyu smiled and said, "In Chang'an, there are naturally many patients who suffer from wind heat disease. As long as we find some patients who are willing to be treated by Lu Fengyu and inject penicillin, Master Xiao will be able to see the effect in a few days. At that time, won't Master Xiao be at ease and allow Lu Fengyu to boldly drug him?" Li Wangyu's words made Xiao Yu's eyes light up. He nodded repeatedly. "County Count who, if that's the case, I'm naturally willing." Zhang Baozong's face darkened. That was not what he meant. If he followed Li Wangyu's plan and found those patients to be cured by penicillin, wouldn't he be looking for trouble? He and Li Wangyu were betting on who could cure more patients in 10 days. Now, most of the patients came to him for treatment. How could he be willing to give Li Wangyu such an opportunity to add more battle results? However, before Zhang Baozong could think of a reason to stop him, he heard the imperial physician clap his hands and cheer. "Good, this is good. Let's leave this matter to the Imperial Physician Department. Everyone, please wait for a moment. I'll have the doctors go to those houses to find patients with wind heat disease and bring them to Lu Fengyu for treatment. In the Imperial Physician Department, there were more than 100 doctors in the medical department. In the Tang dynasty, it was not easy to become a doctor recognized by the imperial court. After the basic courses such as Su Wen and Xin Nong's Herbal Classic, they had to study specialized courses. According to the Tang dynasty's 6 classics, it took 7 years for physical treatment, 5 years for minor ailments, and 2 years for ear, eye, mouth, and teeth diseases. In other words, these doctors had to study in the Imperial Physician Department for 2 to 7 years according to the subject. Moreover, the Imperial Physician Department had strict requirements. There were examinations every month, every quarter, and every year. According to the Tang dynasty's 6 classics, it was recorded that there was a monthly examination for the doctor, a quarterly examination for the imperial physician, and a year-end examination for the Grand Minister. If one's skills were too good, he would be replaced by an official. If one did not succeed after 9 years of study, he would be forced to retire. If one did not succeed after 9 years, he would be expelled. This was much stricter than the university in the future. Studying medicine was not just about studying. One had to have enough clinical experience. However, what kind of place was the Imperial Physician Department? It was for treating the families of officials. How could they let these doctors who were still studying treat the patients' families? Therefore, the doctors of the Imperial Physician Department were arranged to treat patients in the various medicine shops in Chang'an City. Although the doctors of the Imperial Physician Department were medical students, they had received formal medical education and training. Their standards were much better than those of Lu Yan's medical workers. These doctors of the Imperial Physician Department were naturally loved by the people of Chang'an City when they went to practice in the medicine shops. They were also very clear about which patients were in the various medicine shops in Chang'an City. As soon as the Imperial Physician said this, a few doctors of the Imperial Physician Department immediately stood up and bowed. Replying to the Imperial Physician Department, Mr. Xiao, the Count of Huxian, and Lu Fengyu, I know of a patient with wind heat disease in his lungs. His family is poor and has no money to treat him. If Lu Fengyu is willing to treat him, he will definitely be willing. I also know of a patient with wind heat disease in his lungs. The words of the doctors made Xiao Yu overjoyed. He looked at Li Wangyu expectantly. Li Wangyu naturally would not refuse. He smiled and nodded. Then I'll have to trouble you to quickly invite the patient's families over. We can test the medicine today. If it's fast, we will see the results in 2 or 3 days. The Imperial Physician Department immediately nodded and arranged carriages for the doctors. He asked them to bring the patients' families to the Imperial Physician Department. The doctors immediately took the order and ran out. Not long after, the carriages arranged by the Imperial Physician Department came back and brought back 4 or 5 patients. These patients were all ordinary people of Chang'an City. They suffered from wind heat disease in their lungs and had no money to treat it. They were basically waiting for death. They heard that Feng Yu of the Shangyao Medical Department was willing to treat them for free. There was no reason for them to refuse. As for what medicine was used and whether it was a new medicine, they did not care at all. Since they were waiting for death if they did not treat it, they were naturally willing to give it a try. Zhang Baozong's face was gloomy. He checked the patient's pulse one by one and confirmed that their symptoms were similar to Xiao Yu's. They were all wind heat disease in their lungs. Lu Shenwei also checked the patient's symptoms and nodded to Li Wangyu. Zio, these people all have the same symptoms. They are the same as Mr. Zhao's. Okay, then let's give them a skin test first. Li Wangyu did not hesitate. Although it seemed a little immoral to experiment on ordinary people, in fact, with the medical conditions of the Tang dynasty, his willingness to treat these dying people was already a bodhisattva's kindness. Even if there was an accident during the treatment, the patients' families could not say anything except kowtowing to them and thanking them. Medical trouble? There was no need to think about this kind of thing. It would never happen in the Tang dynasty. Under Xiao Yu's eager gaze, Lu Shenwei once again gave the patients a skin test of penicillin in front of everyone. However, an accident happened this time. Chapter 589. The few patients who underwent the skin test were all negative and could receive penicillin injections. However, there was a middle-aged man who was coughing non-stop and had a red hue on his arm. This was a positive reaction to penicillin. Naturally, He could not continue injecting penicillin or he would die. Li Wangyu shook his head regretfully. Patient, please go back. This penicillin is not suitable for your treatment. Hearing that he could not receive Li Wangyu's treatment, the middle-aged man fell to his knees in front of Li Wangyu. He coughed non-stop and kowtowed repeatedly. Please have mercy. Please have mercy. Please save me. Cough cough. I'm willing to take the medicine regardless of the consequences. Please don't let me go back and wait for death. Cough cough. Cough. I'd rather take the medicine. Even if I die because of it, I won't say a word. Li Wangyu continued to shake his head. Since the penicillin skin test was positive, he could not continue injecting penicillin. Otherwise, he would not be saving people, but harming people. Anaphylactic shock could really kill people. Li Wangyu remembered that when he was young, his mother had a colleague who passed away from anaphylactic shock due to penicillin injection. His mother had been talking about this matter from time to time many years later. It was a pity. Although it was an accident with a small probability, since the skin test showed a positive reaction, he could not continue injecting penicillin. But no matter how Li Wangyu refused, the middle-aged man only begged bitterly and kowtowed with his head banging loudly on the ground in a very sorrowful manner. Lu Xinwei looked at the pitiful man from the side and understood his feelings. If it were not for a wealthy family like Xiao Yu, who had doctors from the Imperial Physician Bureau and the Shangyao Bureau to treat him and take all kinds of medicine, the wind heat disease would be fatal. As for these ordinary people, they would only be treated by Lu Yan's doctors from the pharmacy. Not to mention their medical skills, just the cost of seeing a doctor and getting medicine was unbearable. It was not an exaggeration to say that pneumonia in the Tang dynasty was not an incurable disease, but it was not much different from a terminal illness. It was just waiting for death. Zio, are you sure it's positive? Didn't you tell me that there's another type of false positive reaction in the skin test? Lu Xinwei asked in a low voice. Li Wangyu was stunned by his question. He had indeed told Lu Xinwei that the results of the skin test were mostly negative, positive, and false positive. In fact, there were not many people who were allergic to penicillin. He seemed to remember that in his previous life, only about 10% of the people showed a positive reaction in skin test, and most of them were false positives. The proportion of people who were really allergic to penicillin was only about 1%. However, he only knew how it was done, not why it was done. Other than knowing that no reaction was negative and could be injected, how could he know what kind of reaction was a false positive? What was positive? To be on the safe side, Li Wangyu naturally categorized all those who had a reaction to the skin test as positive and did not inject them. This was the safest method. Li Wangyu was at a loss for words, not knowing how to answer. He took a closer look at the middle-aged man's arm. There was only a redness, and there didn't seem to be any other symptoms. Li Wangyu hesitated for a moment, not knowing what to do. The middle-aged man begged bitterly, and even Xiao Yu couldn't bear it. Count Huxian, can this person really not be treated with medicine? I feel that he's quite pitiful. If you send him back, he won't live for long. How about you write a life and death contract and have him sign it? Then, Lu Fengyu can treat him as he pleases. If something happens, you can't blame Count Huxian and Lu Fengyu. When the middle-aged man heard Xiao Yu's words, he quickly replied, "This lowly one is willing. Cough, cough, willing. Cough, cough, cough. As long as esteemed one is willing to treat me, even if I can't be cured and something happens, I won't complain." At this point, Li Wangyu simply made up his mind, gritted his teeth, and nodded in agreement. That's good. Go and find your family members and tell them about the risks of the treatment. If something happens, you can't blame us. Of course, of course. Many thanks, esteemed one. When the middle-aged man heard that Li Wangyu had relented, he quickly got up from the ground and ran to the Imperial Physician Department's main hall to call for his family. Soon, a woman followed the middle-aged man into the main hall. She hadn't even wiped away the tears on her face when she knelt in front of Li Wangyu and the others. Esteemed one, please treat my husband. Regardless of life or death, if anything happens, this lowly woman will not complain. This was clearly the middle-aged man's wife. In response to her words, Li Wangyu could only shake his head and sigh. Now that things had come to this, he could only brace himself and try to see if the middle-aged man's life was tough or not. If it was a false positive reaction, then there would be no problem. If it was a positive reaction, then it would be difficult for even a deity to save him. He could only watch as the middle-aged man died. Once again, he told the couple about the possible reactions that might occur after the injection of penicillin. In the end, he asked the doctor from the Imperial Medical Department to help the middle-aged couple write a life and death contract and let them sign it with their fingerprints. After a while, Li Wangyu indicated for the woman to leave. Lu Xinwei began to prepare the medicine for the pneumonia patients. It was still the same procedure. Although the patients were baffled that they had to take off their pants in public, they didn't dare to disobey. However, they didn't dare to disobey. They could only take turns to take off their pants under the watchful eyes of hundreds of people, and let Lu Xinwei inject them with injections. Xiao Yu was also watching from the side. It was his first time seeing such an injection method, so he was puzzled. The imperial physician beside him had already seen it twice, so he had a rough understanding of it. He quickly explained to Xiao Yu, "Old Master Xiao, the medicine developed by Old Immortal Sun is different from ordinary medicine. The needle is hollow, so the medicine can be injected directly into the patient's body through the bamboo tube." Is this medicine really so miraculous? I'm not sure about other illnesses. However, one of the military officers was infected with the flower willow, and he indeed recovered in 2 days. This lowly official and everyone in the Imperial Medical Department can testify to this. Xiao Yu nodded his head and continued to watch Lu Xinwei inject the patients. It was still the same crude action. Li Wangyu couldn't help sweating in his heart. He couldn't bear to watch. Even Xiao Yu, who was watching from the side, couldn't help knitting his brows when he saw the patient's painful expression. He was clearly shocked by Lu Xinwei's injection method. After the pneumonia patients were done with their injections, it was the middle-aged man's turn. Li Wangyu hesitated for a while before he nodded his head to Lu Xinwei, indicating for him to inject penicillin. At this moment, everyone became nervous. For a moment, no one spoke in the Imperial Physician Department's hall as they nervously stared at Lu Xinwei and the middle-aged man. This made Lu Xinwei a little nervous. He held the syringe on the middle-aged man's butt for a long time, but he didn't manage to inject it. Everyone's gazes followed the syringe in Lu Xinwei's hand. Just when they were nervous, the middle-aged man suddenly opened his mouth and howled. It scared Lu Xinwei so much that his hand trembled and he almost stabbed the needle into the back of his hand. Chapter 590. Lu Xinwei came back to his senses. He hadn't inserted the needle yet, so why was this man screaming? He angrily slapped the middle-aged man's head. "What the hell are you screaming for? I haven't inserted the needle yet." When the middle-aged man heard this, he was stunned for a moment before he muttered, I saw those people before when they sat down they all screamed like that. I thought it was a rule." His words caused everyone to be stunned for a moment before they burst into laughter. The tense atmosphere from before dissipated quite a bit. Lu Xinwei was so angry that his face turned red. Without thinking, he directly inserted the needle into the middle-aged man's butt. Ah! This time, the middle-aged man screamed again. He finally understood why those people had screamed when they were treating him. It really was F***ing painful. Under Lu Xinwei's violent actions, a syringe of penicillin was quickly injected into the middle-aged man's body. Li Wangyu gestured for him to put on his pants. "Go and call your wife in. Let's stay here for a while. If you're fine in an hour, you'll be considered to have passed through the gates of hell. Whether or not you can live will depend on your fate." The middle-aged man had already mentally prepared himself. To him, if he couldn't treat this illness, he would only be waiting for death when he returned. He would also be a burden to his family. It would be better to end it today. If he could live, then he would have a free life. If he couldn't, then his wife would suffer less. He respectfully knelt down and kowtowed to Li Wangyu and Lu Xinwei. Then, he left the main hall to find his wife. Outside the main hall, his wife had been silently crying. When she saw him come out, she hurriedly went forward to support him. "Dalong, how are you? Did the noble person give you medicine? Do you feel unwell?" The middle-aged man nodded. "Wait for an hour. If I can live, then I can probably keep my life. If, sigh my wife, I've dragged you down. If something happens, cough, 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 you should take the children with you before marrying. I only have one request. Can you find someone who treats the children well?" "Dalong, what nonsense are you talking about? If you're gone, I'll naturally raise the children. If you go there, wait for me. I'll look for you after I raise the child." The woman cried miserably. Her hands gripped the middle-aged man's sleeves tightly, unwilling to let go. It was as if her husband would leave her if she let go. Just like that, the two of them supported each other and stood outside the lobby of the Imperial Medical Department, crying and talking at the same time. Seeing this, Li Wangyu and the others felt uncomfortable in their hearts. Lu Xinwei even felt that the corners of his eyes were a little wet. He couldn't help but ask, Zio, what if there's really an allergic reaction like you said? Is there no way to save him? Li Wangyu slowly shook his head. The Tang dynasty only had such medical facilities. How could they save him? He couldn't bear to look at the couple any longer, so he simply turned his head away and cupped his hands towards Xiao Yu. Master Xiao, I estimate that the patients will recover in 2 to 3 days if they're quick, or 4 to 5 days if they're slow. Master Xiao, you can continue to take the decoction for the next few days. When you see the effect in a few days, you can rest assured and use the medicine. He didn't expect that the old man, Xiao Yu, would suddenly roll up his sleeves. Come, do that skin test for this old man. Master Xiao W. What do you mean by this? Li Wangyu didn't react for a moment. Injection. Injection of penicillin. This old man doesn't need to wait for those patients to recover. This old man has been open and above board all my life, but I almost made a big mistake today. Since those commoners can use the medicine, why can't this old man use it? It's beneath me to let others test the medicine for this old man. Haha, but this old man doesn't regret it. If it can cure those patients,